last sitting in old building. Old house to be Samvidhan Sadan. New temple of democracy. First day, first show.
लंबे अरसे से चर्चा में रहा विषय है। अब इसको हमने कानून बना करके हमारे देश की विकास यात्रा में नारी शक्ति की भागीदारी सुनिश्चित करने का समय है।
Women's Quota Bill tabled. History in the making.
Okay, we have a new parliament building, but we will also get a new law this week that could change the face of parliament. The opposition, though, has its questions, and those questions and the answers hopefully will come on the news today. The 9 headlines at 9 first. The historic Women's Quota Bill to bring in 33% reservation for women in Lok Sabha state legislative assemblies introduced in the new parliament will be debated tomorrow. Credit war breaks out over the Women's Quota Bill. Sonia Gandhi says Congress introduced the Quota Bill first. Home Minister Amit Shah hits out, says women's quota just tokenism for the Congress. Question mark now if bill will be implemented any time in the near future. India has finally transitioned to the new parliament building with a symbolic march led by Prime Minister Modi to the new Sansad, old parliament to be called Samvidhan Sadan. India and Canada now in a diplomatic war. Canada Prime Minister Trudeau claims India's hand in killing of a Khalistani extremist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Ottawa expels a top Indian diplomat. India retaliates by expelling a Canadian envoy, dismisses the Canadian charges. Security forces avenge the death of Anantnag Braves. Lashkar commander Uzair is killed after 7 days of an anti-terror operation. Amidst protests in Karnataka against Kaveri water release for Tamil Nadu, sources tell India Today Chief Minister Siddaramaiah will lead an MP's delegation to the centre to convey Karnataka's own water requirements. As Kerala begins mass testing amidst the Nipah virus outbreak, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan directs a survey and study, says ICMR not giving a clear reason why Kozhikode is Nipah epicenter. More trouble now for TDP Chief Chandrababu Naidu. CID files a third graft case against Naidu in an alleged 120 crore rupee FiberNet scam. Twitter chief Elon Musk set to bring in more changes to the social media platform, says all users could be charged a subscription fee next. But first to the big story that's breaking at the moment. The Lok Sabha's debate on the Women's Quota Bill will be for 7 hours tomorrow. 7 hours now allotted for the Women Quota Bill that was introduced in Parliament that promises 33% reservation in Lok Sabha and state assemblies. Remember, Prime Minister Modi today spoke about it, but tomorrow we are now told Sonia Gandhi, the former Congress president, will lead the Congress debate in the Lok Sabha. Remember, Mrs. Gandhi has claimed she is the one who has been pushing the Women's Reservation Bill all these years. So tomorrow it will be the turn of Sonia Gandhi to take the stage, center stage, by speaking in the opposition reply. She hasn't spoken for a long time in Parliament. Sonia Gandhi tomorrow, it was Prime Minister Modi today. The stage therefore set for the passage of the historic, contentious Women's Reservation Bill. In fact, the first Lok Sabha session in the new Parliament starting with that news. The Prime Minister announcing that the Women's Reservation Bill had been cleared by the Parliament and will be taken up. 27 years since it was first tabled, it could be a milestone moment. But, and there is always a but, the fact is this bill will become law now but will be implemented only after the delimitation exercise expected to be complete sometime in 2026 or 2027 is over, which means the earliest we could get women's reservation in a general election could be 2029. The opposition is crying foul. The BJP is saying, Modi hai to mumkin hai. Listen in.
नारी शक्ति वंदन अधिनियम, इसके माध्यम से हमारा लोकतंत्र और मजबूत होगा.
The suspense is over. The Narendra Modi government has brought the Nari Shakti Vandan Bill or the Women's Reservation Bill to the Lok Sabha. Prime Minister Modi broke the news making his first speech in the new Parliament building on Tuesday, which also happened to be Ganesh Chaturthi.
आज जब महिलाएं हर सेक्टर में तेजी से आगे बढ़ रही हैं, नेतृत्व कर रही हैं, तो बहुत आवश्यक है कि नीति निर्धारण में, पॉलिसी मेकिंग में हमारी माताएं, बहनें, हमारी नारी शक्ति अधिकतम योगदान दें.
The bill tabled by Law and Justice Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal reserves 1/3 of seats in the Lok Sabha and state assemblies for women. 1/3 of seats under SC/ST quota will be reserved for women. The law, once passed, will come into effect after the delimitation is complete. The delimitation exercise will take place after the census is done. The reservation will be in place for 15 years.
अटल जी के कार्यकाल में कई बार महिला आरक्षण का बिल पेश किया गया, कई बार, लेकिन उसे पार कराने के लिए आंकड़े नहीं जुटा पाए और उसके कारण वो सपना अधूरा रह गया. ईश्वर ने ऐसे कई पवित्र काम के लिए मुझे चुना है.
Incorrect है.
Both BJP and Congress are seeking credit for the women's bill, which has been hanging fire for nearly 3 decades.
महिला आरक्षण 1989 में जब राजीव जी प्रधानमंत्री थे, तब स्थानीय निकायों के चुनाव में उन्होंने 1/3 आरक्षण महिलाओं के लिए सुनिश्चित किया था. तत्पश्चात कांग्रेस की सरकारों ने लगातार प्रयास किया कि महिला आरक्षण का बिल पास हो.
9 मार्च 2010 में राज्यसभा ने इसको पास किया. उसके बाद राज्यसभा ने कम्युनिकेट किया लोकसभा को, और जब रिपोर्ट किया तो लोकसभा के सेक्रेटरी जनरल जब इसको रिपोर्ट किया तो ये लोकसभा की प्रॉपर्टी बन गई. और 15वीं लोकसभा जैसे ही भंग हुई, अध्यक्ष जी, 15वीं लोकसभा जैसे ही भंग हुई 18 मई 2014 को, ये बिल भी लैप्स हो गया.
Earlier, Sonia Gandhi had called the proposal law a UPA product.
Women's Reservation Bill finally is coming. Women's Reservation Bill.
With both BJP and Congress backing women's quota, the bill is expected to be passed without much trouble. But the quota will not come into effect till delimitation happens, which means it is ruled out for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. With Polumi Saha, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, my first guest on this big topic is K. Kavita, the BRS MLC. She is among those who has been writing to the Prime Minister calling for 33% reservation, even went on a one-day fast. K. Kavita, do you feel vindicated today, or do you feel as if the Prime Minister has taken the political ground under your feet? The BJP is taking all the credit now.
Let them take all the credit. I just hope the bill passes without any trouble both in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and I truly hope that this bill will immediately come into force. In fact, for the next election in which the first 5 states including Telangana will go to polls, I really hope it can be implemented right now. This government has that kind of majority and they can do it if they want. So instead of making the women wait for next 5 years, I strongly demand that the Bharatiya Janata Party take a step forward and make sure that the bill is implemented right away. Because if there is no census that was done in 2021, we can always base 2011 as the census and take it up. Nothing is stopping the government from doing that. And number of times in number of issues they have taken 2011 as the base census. So I demand the Bharatiya Janata Party government and I request to Modi ji that kindly take it up. Please make sure that in the upcoming elections in the first 5 states and upcoming Lok Sabha election, give us chance.
No, because the bill in its present form makes it very clear that it will come up only post delimitation. Most believe, K. Kavita, that the delimitation freeze will end only in 2026. So you're saying forget about that. You're calling for the bill to be immediately implemented as of the elections to take place in the next 3 months and the Lok Sabha next year. Am I correct? You're saying remove the clause about delimitation.
It is absolutely. Absolutely. It is Rajdeep ji, it is immediately possible to have this 33% women reservation, and delimitation will anyway happen in 2026, wherein number of seats will be increased, etc. That's a different story. But in the existing format for the existing seats, if you base the census if you take the baseline census as 2011 census, 33% can be immediately implemented for this upcoming elections. That is a possibility that the government should immediately explore. That is what I am demanding for.
You know, the fact though, K. Kavita, is people will say that the BRS is being hypocritical. K. Kavita also is saying one thing but is not walking the talk, because when it came to actually the seat ticket distribution in your own party, your leader, K. Chandrasekhar Rao, has given tickets to 114 out of the 119 seats of Telangana elections, November, December. There are barely less than 10% of them are women. So if you wanted the political party, your political party could have given 33% tickets. You don't do that. Now you are looking for reservation.
Absolutely, because political parties do not do that, including my party. I have never been shy about it. Any political party in this country has not given more seats than the BRS party, except Naveen Patnaik ji and Mamta Didi, and when Madam Jayalalitha was alive, she was the one. So only 3 chief ministers have taken this initiative, and many parties did not do it for various reasons. BRS is one among them. There is no going back on that word, and that is specifically why. And the statement that I've made now is BRS party's official statement. That is what our MPs are going to also talk about in the parliament tomorrow. So we demand BRS, as BRS party, not as just K. Kavita, that let this bill be implemented for this upcoming elections itself. If the BJP is really sincere, they can do it. They can make it happen. They don't have to wait,
No, but it will take time, ma'am. One minute.
Bill, try to get women's vote now. Do it after.
No, ma'am, but it will take time to decide which are the 33% seats which will have women reservation. It can't be done overnight.
Rajdeep ji, it can be done. You have to just press one button on the computer. You will immediately know which are the constituencies which have more women voters. Simple as that. So today, using the technology, it is not as hard as we think it is. 2011 census is completely digitized census. We can immediately access the data. Immediately it can be done. The political will is the only thing that is stopping the current government from doing it. So you can, in fact, right now, Rajdeep ji, go on to the website and check, the census, the population. Many seats are, there are more women voters in many constituencies. So out of that, top 33% can be picked up.
But can I ask you in conclusion that is this all about credit taking?
It is just a matter of
No, is it all about competitive credit taking? You want to take credit saying that you did a one-day dharna, that you have written to the Prime Minister. The BJP is saying, look at Prime Minister Modi. He's the one who's taken initiative. Sonia Gandhi is saying, ye hamara bill hai. I mean, this seems to be all the parties rushing to take credit for the woman voter that you forgot. You yourself are admitting that political parties are male-dominated. Now they're all rushing to take credit for the bill.
Yes, precisely. When the bill is coming up, they are all rushing to take the credit. They will. Political parties are like that. In fact, when I started the dharna, everybody blamed me saying, see, she's only doing a dharna for various other reasons. But I continued doing it. Continuously, I started raising this issue in the 6 months. You've seen me number of times writing letters, taking up the issue, keeping the issue alive. it is good that the government is finally coming up and doing it. In the 9.5 years, BJP itself has put it in the manifesto, and Congress party, look at their hypocrisy. When Indira ma'am was there, nobody thought about it. They brought in the local body reservations, did not bother to, bring women into assemblies and parliament. Sonia ma'am was there. She introduced it in Rajya Sabha. She could have done it in Lok Sabha as well, because after passing it in Rajya Sabha, they were still in power for 4 more years. They did not do it. In the last 16 years, they forgot about it. In fact, they were so careless in their last manifesto, last election manifesto, Congress party, did not even mention the Women Reservation Bill. Now today they want to call it Apna Bill, Hamara Bill. Fair enough. Everybody has done their share. But don't you think, Rajdeep, in the last 75 years, women were denied their fair share in the political representation? When there is a possibility, why should we wait for 5 more years is what I am saying. And other thing, Rajdeep ji, as a party's stated stand, I want to reiterate that OBC bill should also be immediately implemented, so that the women bill of 33% quota for OBCs also will be given among the women candidates. This has been our demand from past 10 years, not now.
Okay. So you're saying women's reservation bill to be implemented right away. You want OBC reservations also within the quota of 33%, a certain percentage to be reserved for OBC. Let's leave it there. K. Kavita, you are someone who has every right today to say, I'm among the few who kept it going in the last few months by being high profile over it. Appreciate your joining me here on the news today. Thanks very much. K. Kavita of the BRS joining me. Let's raise the big question. Is this therefore a day to celebrate for Nari Shakti or women power, or is it a political jumla as some opposition MPs are calling it? Is the battle now on to take credit for women's bill? Narendra Modi versus Sonia Gandhi. When will the implementation of the bill actually take place? Will this bill truly empower women, or will male politicians still call the shots? Just some of the questions. Lalita Kumaramangalam is a BJP member and a former chairperson of the National Commission for Women. JB Mathur is a Congress MP in the Rajya Sabha. Maua Maji, interesting, Jharkhand Mukti Morcha MP. This is one of the parties that has not fully endorsed the bill. And Tara Krishnaswamy, co-founder, Citizens for Bengaluru and Political Shakti. Appreciate all of you joining us here on the show tonight. Let me turn to you, Lalita Kumaramangalam, right away. Do you believe that this bill should be implemented right away? The government has said it will be done after delimitation is complete. Now, that could take years. And therefore, while you make these announcements and make it a law, it will take years to implement.
Rajdeep, it's not what I believe. I wish it could be implemented immediately, but practically it's impossible. To take the 2011 census as the basis for it, it's just not practical. We've had a lot of demographic changes in the country. Population has grown by leaps and bounds, and different states have different percentages of not just the growth in population, rate of growth of population, but many other differences. There is also the demand for OBC to be included, the OBC quota to be included in the quota, not just SC/ST, as has been written down in this bill. Now, to expect it to be done without delimitation being complete would really be rushing things, because then again, when delimitation occurs, which it will, it's inevitable it will, there will again be another scramble for which seats to be given back to women or back to men, and then some given to be women. It gets very confusing for not just the government, more so, I think, for the Election Commission, both at the central and the state levels. I'm sure the EC has also been consulted in this regard. But like I say, as an activist, I'd love it to have been done even 25 years ago. Unfortunately, it wasn't. To call it a jumla is unfair.
1 minute. No, 1 minute, ma'am.
Ma'am, 1 minute. Just one more point.
Yes.
One more point, Rajdeep.
Yes.
To call it a jumla is unfair, Rajdeep, because not every, except for 2 or 3 parties, everybody has been supportive of it, and we have patriarchy across the board in every party. Let me be brutally frank here. So I don't think it's a jumla. The PM has been smart enough to introduce the bill at a time when he knows it will be passed through both houses of parliament. And once it's passed, almost no party will be able to then turn around and say, that, we cannot support it. The bill has cannot be done in this form, etc., etc. So jumla is not a fair word to use.
Okay.
But I would like to congratulate every woman from across every party who has worked for this. And I have seen it being done well before I became NCW chief. where women from every party, Sushma Ji, Brinda Karat, Sheila Dikshit, I mean, the name kids
No, no,
can go
Geeta
on, who
Mukherjee.
have
Don't
joined
forget the
hands.
great Geeta Mukherjee, CPI leader. She was
Rajdeep.
one of the pioneers of this bill.
Rajdeep, I don't take her name because she's actually my mother's aunt. So it looks like I'm boasting personally, which I don't want to do. But yes, we used to call her Chot Dida. She was one of the prime movers of the bill. So what I'm trying to say is that across parties, women have worked very hard to see this come to fruition.
Okay.
And I'm very, very glad that finally this time the bill will be passed.
Okay.
There will be a delay in its implementation, which a lot of women regret, but the bill will be passed. And that is the most important step forward, because finally there is hope that women will get a chance to participate in decision making. This should have come many, many years ago. But finally now, when it is implemented, women will get that chance.
Okay.
Both at the assembly and at the center. And we must learn from what's happened at the panchayats. Women have done brilliantly across panchayats across the country. And this is what will be reflected. It'll take 5-10 years perhaps for it to, to come into data and stuff like that. But I'm sure Tara, my friend Tara, will give you, she has much more data on hand than I have, will give you the data, will prove to you that this is a fantastic step forward.
Can I just
don't want
stop
to
you for a moment?
politicize it.
I can see that you feel this is an important day, and I'm going to come back to you to challenge some of what you said. But let me hear from the other speakers, starting with JB Mathe from the Congress, because now we are told that the Congress, some Congress leaders are calling it a jumla. You've got Mr. Chidambaram, former finance minister, tweeting that the Women's Reservation Bill is a typical example of the BJP's deceptive politics. The bill mocks the women of India and asks them to wait till the next census. Now, in the morning, everyone was taking credit for the bill, even in the Congress, including Sonia Gandhi, who is going to speak tomorrow. Now, your own leaders of the Congress are saying this is a deceptive Jumla bill.
Rajdeep, I have no hesitation in saying that tabling the Women Reservation Bill is definitely a welcome move, because Congress party has always aspired and believed that women should be given equal platform in Parliament and assemblies.
Yes.
But the devil is in the details. If you look at the clause 5 and also the 334A, see the delimitation clause, it says that women reservation will be come into effect after delimitation and after census. When will this delimitation take place? When will the census take place? What is the need to link delimitation and census to women reservation? Proof of the pudding is in the eating. Now they have managed to show the pudding. That pudding is Nari Shakti Vandan Bill. But when will the women of the country get to eat it?
No,
and
but
I
the
wish to
women
say
have been
that this
waiting
is
for
a
25
very,
years,
very
ma'am.
clear
JB
case
Mathe,
of Jumla.
JB Mathe, the women of the country have been waiting for years. When you were in power, you were not able to pass it. You didn't have the numbers. The Prime Minister has the numbers. He's passing it.
When we had the numbers way back, we brought in the Panchayati Raj. That was to turn into reality, and turned into reality, and we have lakhs of women leaders across India. But during UPA time, we had the intent, we had the intention, we had the aspiration. We managed to pass it in Rajya Sabha, but we couldn't pass it in Lok Sabha because we didn't have the numbers. Now BJP has been sitting through for 9.5 years. They could have passed it earlier. Why they didn't do it? They did not even initiate in the last fag, and they come up with this. And I have to say, the Prime Minister is an ardent seller of dreams. Be it 15 lakh in bank account, be it 2 crores jobs per year. And if this is the essence of the bill, this will remain a pipe dream. Because I urge the BJP women MPs to speak tomorrow in Parliament saying that this delimitation clause and the after census clause to be removed, and then the bill to be passed.
Okay.
Because we all want it to happen. We all want to support it wholeheartedly. We believe it.
So
but
you're saying
this is a half-baked jumla.
Okay, you're saying the Congress wants the delimitation clause to be removed. Then you believe this is a true bill. Before I come to Tara and my guest from the JMM, quick word from you, Lalita Kumaramangalam, because JB Mathan is raising a question that many are. It takes the BJP 8-9 years to bring this bill. 2014 to 2023, you had a majority, you could have brought it. You bring it 8 months before the general elections, and then bring it in a manner then it's not going to be implemented right away. So people therefore are asking, is this a jumla?
Rajdeep, I think you're sounding very naive. You need majority in both houses of parliament, not one. There was no point in trying to bring in a bill that everybody may wanted, as I say, everybody wanted across the board, when we did not have majority in the Rajya Sabha. Today, we know that it will be pushed through in the Rajya Sabha too, which is why it has been brought in today. I'm not saying it could have not come a couple of years earlier or the moment we got the majority in the achieved majority in the Rajya Sabha, but bills also take time to write. Consultations have to be held with various sections of people, and probably that was what held him back. However, I'm not amongst the ones who write it, so you don't need to take my word as fact.
Okay,
but that is probably what happened.
Let me bring in just a minute.
To me, unfortunately, it sounds that the Congress is now grabbing excuses to say no to agreeing to the bill tomorrow. Yes, the Congress did introduce it at one time, but they were not able to persuade their allies. Don't forget, Mulayam and Lalu, etc., were their allies when it was passed in the Rajya Sabha. And then, of course, the bill was just jacked because the extreme patriarchy in those parties. And I mean, we can give innumerable examples. There's not enough time today, though. Therefore, it was not passed. Today, it will be passed.
Okay.
As I said before, there may be a slight delay.
Ma'am, I take your point. Let me turn to some of the other ticklish issues. Mahua Maji, you're a Jharkhand Mukti Morcha MP. आप मुझे बताइए, क्या आपकी पार्टी इस बिल का पूरा इस पर इसको एंडोर्स करती है या नहीं? क्योंकि हमने पहले देखा हिंदी हार्टलैंड के पार्टीज कहते हैं ओबीसी रिजर्वेशन दो, केवल विमेन रिजर्वेशन नहीं चलेगा, वी वांट रिजर्वेशन विद इन रिजर्वेशन, ओबीसीज, एससी, एसटी, इनके लिए। क्या आप इस बिल को कल समर्थन देंगी या नहीं मैम?
देखिए, इस बिल को लेकर हमारी पार्टी हमेशा से मांग उठाती रही है। मैं खुद भी पार्लियामेंट में इस बिल के लिए बोलती रही हूं और अभी ये आ रहा है, इसका स्वागत है। लेकिन हमारा ट्राइबल स्टेट है, आप सभी जानते हैं कि झारखंड में 32 ट्राइब्स रहते हैं और वो महिलाएं जो हैं वो अभी पंचायत चुनाव में बहुत अच्छा कर रही हैं। मुखिया का चुनाव हो, जिला परिषद का चुनाव हो, उसमें अध्यक्ष का पद हो, हर जगह वो चुनकर आ रही हैं। तो ऐसे में अगर महिलाओं का सिर्फ रिजर्वेशन होगा और उसमें एसटी, एससी, ओबीसी का रिजर्वेशन नहीं रहेगा तो हो सकता है कि आने वाले समय में सिर्फ कुछ पर्टिकुलर अपर क्लास की महिलाएं, चाहे वो किसी भी जाति धर्म की हो, लेकिन जिसके हस्बैंड्स या तो ब्यूरोक्रेट्स हैं या पॉलिटिशियन हैं बड़े या इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट हैं, तो ऐसे लोगों के घर की महिलाएं फिर से पॉलिटिक्स में आएंगी और जो ग्रास रूट लेवल की महिलाएं हैं जो डिजर्व करती हैं उनके लिए समस्या खड़ी हो जाएगी। इसलिए हम लोग चाहेंगे कि उनके लिए रिजर्वेशन हो।
So you want a quota within a quota? तो आप साफ कह रही हैं, मैडम आप कह रही हैं 33% में एक कोटा चाहिए फॉर ओबीसी।
मैं एक बात और कहना चाहूंगी कि हाँ बिल्कुल, और एक बात कहना चाहूँगी कि जिस समय ये इस बिल की घोषणा हुई, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने लोकसभा में बात कही तो चारों तरफ ये बात गई और खुशी की लहर भी आई। हमारे पास भी, मैं चूँकि झारखंड विमेंस कमीशन की चेयरपर्सन रही हूँ और अपनी पार्टी झारखंड मुक्ति मोर्चा की विमेन विंग की सेंट्रल प्रेसिडेंट भी रही हूँ, तो मेरे पास महिलाओं का फ़ोन आना शुरू हो गया इंटीरियर से, गाँव से, और वो लोग खुश होने लगी कि हम लोग भी इस बार चुनाव लड़ेंगे 2024 में। बहुत खुश थी वो, लेकिन तुरंत जैसे हमें पता चला कि नहीं, ये तो अभी जनगणना होगा, उसके बाद फिर परिसीमन होगा और फिर होगा, इनफैक्ट मुझे लगता है 2029 से पहले ये नहीं होगा, तो वो बहुत मायूस भी हो गई। तो मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी कि माननीय मोदी जी जिस तरह से नोटबंदी की घोषणा 1 मिनट के अंदर कर देते हैं या लॉकडाउन की घोषणा करते हैं, उसी तरह से अगर महिला रिजर्वेशन बिल लाने की घोषणा उन्होंने करना चाह रहे हैं तो निश्चित रूप से इसे भी तत्काल होना चाहिए, न कि सिर्फ ये एक आप सब बाग दिखाकर।
नहीं, मुझे आपकी बात ओके, सो I've understood, ma'am, I've understood. Most of the parties therefore are saying, at least from what I can gather, the opposition is saying implement it now, do not wait for a census and delimitation. Interesting, because Tara Krishnaswamy, one of the feelings one got in parliament today is the male MPs are not happy. And therefore, while the Prime Minister has been able to drive the narrative of Nari Shakti, the truth is the male MPs have been given time till 2029 to digest the implications of what happens. Where does that leave it? We are kicking the football, it appears, into the distance. Are you okay with that?
First of all, it's nothing but good news that the Women's Reservation Bill has been tabled. There's no two ways about it. Could it have been tabled sooner? Absolutely, especially given the delta between the 2008 bill and this is just the delimitation and census. Surely, that didn't take this degree of consultation or warrant a special session necessarily. So it could have been tabled sooner, but here we are, and the fact that it's tabled is a good thing for women. Now, by linking it to delimitation and census, really 2 or 3 things here. One is by linking it to delimitation and census, you're pushing it out. But what you're also doing is comforting the men that the total number of male held seats may not change very much, because if the overall number of seats increase, and men today hold 543 minus about 78, close to 470 seats, they may continue to hold 470 or more seats when the total number of seats increases. So there's a certain degree of pandering to the male child that is happening, but in politics that may well ease the path. What is unclear to me is why they had to wait this long. This could have been initiated, even though they didn't have a Rajya Sabha majority. The consultations could have been initiated ahead of time, so that the bill doesn't have to be tabled this late. The consultations could have happened. We know it's coming. It's not some kind of a surprise, slam that is needed. Now, the credit for the bill, clearly, partly what the BJP wants to do is to reap political capital for tabling the bill without necessarily actually implementing it, because implementing it is going to be a tricky thing. There's a lot of disgruntled male MPs and MLAs, and that's going to affect a lot of parties, including the BJP themselves. So they want to be able to take the political credit for it and defer the implementation to post 2024. And remember that at 50%, women are the largest minority vote bank that you can go after.
But why will they not take credit? The BJP will take credit because the Prime Minister is the one who's pushing it through this time.
That's what I'm saying. The BJP will take political credit for it without implementing it in 2024. While your credit comes ahead of time, the implementation has to wait for another 5 years or 6 years at least. Okay. Who knows? And then what happens between now and then? Now, 2 more things that I want to say. One is that there is always a reference to OBC quota when it comes to Women's Reservation Bill. Are the men in the parliament not Savarnas? Do you not have an upper caste problem with men? Do you only have it with women? So the OBC quota is orthogonal, just like the SC/ST quota is orthogonal to the gender quota. And if you have an SC/ST quota, you're supposed to give tickets both to male and female SC/STs within that, which you're not doing, which is forcing a fencing of 1/3. Similarly, with the OBC quota, who is SP going to give tickets to? Not to Yadavs? Is JDU not going to give tickets to Kurmis? Are these not OBCs? And Kurmi men are OBCs? Kurmi women are also OBCs? So why is it that the gender quota alone is linked to OBC?
I take your point.
And the final thing I think is credit, which the real credit should go to the female voters, because we have made ourselves into a formidable vote bank that even the Prime Minister today is not able to ignore, because women are voting at a greater percentage than men, number one. Yes. Number two, they're turning the elections in so many constituencies that catering to us, and we are the largest minority at 50%. That political credit is not something he can walk away from. The clever part of it is he is not giving it to us yet, but he wants the political credit.
No, the truth of the matter is, I agree with your last point. There is a new M in Indian politics. It used to be Mandir, Market, Mandal. It is now Mahila. That's very clear. Mahila is the new M in Indian politics. But JB Mathur, taking up from what I'm hearing, the Prime Minister is going to take credit. Whether it's implemented in 2024 or not, he is going to say Swachh Bharat, Ujjwala, now the Nari, the new Women's Reservation Bill. I am the one who is driving woman power.
That's exactly what I was saying, Rajdeep, earlier, that Prime Minister is an ardent seller of dreams. Now, this time, for this 2024 elections, he is showing women the carrot by saying that we are going to pass this Women Reservation Bill. But does it have the effect? Who are they benefiting? Is the women benefiting is the question. Unless a benefit is received, what is the point of having it? So that is why we are saying that remove that delimitation clause and then have it in place so that you
Will you support the bill tomorrow with the delimitation clause? I want a direct, Madam, I want a direct answer. Will you support the bill tomorrow with the delimitation clause in, yes or no?
We are very clear that we are supporting Women Reservation Bill because that's something which we have aspired and we have supported.
So you will support it?
Definitely Parliament is the place for debating. So we will debate it, we will debate it because we want that to be a reality.
Okay.
We don't want it to be a pipe dream for women. We don't want it to be showing a carrot to the women of India. We want them to benefit. We want women to come to the Parliament and to state assemblies not after many, many, many years, but as soon as possible. So remove that delimitation clause because with the delimitation clause and the after census clause, it is very clear that this is yet another jumla of BJP before 2024 elections.
Lalita
and why
Kumara
would we
Mangalam
agree
did
for
not
that?
like the
Why
use.
should we stand for
Lalita
that?
Kumara Mangalam did not like the. Ma'am, I take your point. Lalita Kumara Mangalam, in conclusion, many of the women who also now are saying with the delimitation clause, it's a bit of a jumla. It's a carrot. Mr. Modi is offering the carrot to people कि चलो महिलाओं के लिए मैंने इतना किया है. The truth is implementation will be 5 years later. The men will continue to dominate.
Rajdeep, the men have dominated, I don't know for how many centuries. What Tara said is absolutely right. That delimitation will probably be the carrot that has been held out to men to get them to agree. Remember that across, and I said this right in the beginning, that across the board, men are still extremely patriarchal. Politics is a very, very patriarchal field, except for few women, many of whom have come up because of their family connections, etc. You will find that the average ordinary woman, to put that in quotes, has not really been given a fair chance to be able to sit in the biggest decision-making bodies of this country, the assemblies and parliament.
Okay,
exactly.
Let me leave it there. We've lost the video to Lalita Kumara Mangalam as she made that important point. The point is, Indian politics has been way too patriarchal for too long. You needed to change it. In that sense, this Women's Reservation Bill will be seen as a step forward. Our political parties failed to give tickets to women, and therefore, you've got to bring in reservation. Remember, at the moment, barely 10-15% of most of our assemblies and parliament have women representatives. India needed change. It's the age of the Mahila. This is Mahila power that deserves credit more than any political party. That's really the message of what's happened in the last few days. Thanks very much to my guests for joining me. Let me turn to my other talking point, because after giving the diplomatic war now between India and Canada, Justin Trudeau versus Narendra Modi. Today, the Indian government expelled a senior Canadian diplomat hours after the Canadian Prime Minister accused India of murdering a Khalistani terrorist, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. India has called the charges absurd and motivated. Take a look.
The gloves are off. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Monday announced in Parliament Indian agents could be behind the killing of Canadian citizen Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Khalistani terrorist wanted in India.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
We've been clear. Canada has expelled an Indian diplomat over what it calls the involvement of a foreign government in its internal affairs. Within hours of Canada's provocation, New Delhi retaliated by expelling a senior Canadian diplomat.
External Affairs Minister. Sir, you meet the... You got... External Affairs Minister.
India has called Canada's accusations absurd and politically motivated to shift the focus from Khalistani terror, being allowed a free run there.
Phrase which came to my mind was actually a Hindi phrase, which was "Ulta chor kotwal ko dante." I mean, if anybody has a complaint, we have a complaint about Canada. You know, what I said earlier, the space that they're giving to Khalistanis and to violent extremists. So I was very perplexed by what I heard.
Nijar, whom India had declared a wanted terrorist, was gunned down on June 18th in Surrey. The NIA had issued an arrest warrant for Nijar, accusing him of carrying out terrorist attacks in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had taken up the issue of Khalistani extremists getting a voice in Canada in his bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Trudeau in Delhi on the sidelines of G20. Trudeau claims he'd discussed Nijar's killing with the Indian Prime Minister. Canada had recently suspended negotiations for a free trade agreement with India. With the latest accusations, the already sour diplomatic relations between the two countries have hit a new low. Bureau Report, India Today.
So how should India deal with this latest challenge in a way being thrown by Canada? I'm joined by Ambassador K.C. Singh, former Secretary MEA. Joining me also from Canada is Daniel Boardman, joining me from Toronto. K.C. Singh, to you first. How do you see this playing out? Do you believe that Canada has crossed a certain red line in the way in which they've been seen to be sheltering those accused of being Khalistani terrorists?
Look, Rajdeep, we have to relate what happens in Punjab to what happens in Canada. There's always been a very small element amongst the Sikh diaspora which has carried this fiction in their head of a Khalistan. But Khalistan, if it has to be formed in Punjab. And here essentially from 2015 when the desecration took place. Otherwise, after Blue Star, this had all settled down. Nobody has thought of it. Anandpur Sahib resolution was forgotten. And people who created the resolution were allies of the BJP, the Akali Dal. But 2015 desecration mishandled by the Akalis is the basis of it. And even today, Gurmeet Ram Rahim, look at the way he's handled in Haryana. He's convicted a rapist, a murderer. He gets twice a year, he gets remand out of the jail. And he's treated like a VIP by the Haryana government.
No, but how does that... No, but this is about... Mr. K.C. Singh, this is about Canada refusing to accede to Indian requests to extradite Khalistani terrorists. Nijar was among the list that Amrinder Singh had submitted 2 years ago.
I'll just relate it. So there is this simmering feeling which then starts in Punjab. It is no longer river waters, no longer Chandigarh, no longer land, Punjabi-speaking areas. It's essentially a feeling that the Sikhs are being persecuted because, its religion is not, because the Akali Dal has not been able to handle it. Traditionally, they handled it. And then came the farmers' agitation. And who dubbed them Khalistanis? It's the union government's representatives who are calling them Khalistanis at the border. And by the end of it, there was no Khalistan. The farmers of Haryana, Punjab, UP, they worked together. And finally came Amritpal last year. Who allowed Amritpal to operate? He stirred the cauldron in Punjab. So if we don't pay attention to what's happening in Punjab, you keep blaming things they are not going to be able to do anything. Let them hold a referendum there. Let them create a Khalistan in Vancouver, as far as we are concerned. But I agree with you. Trudeau has overplayed his hand. They are talking of credible evidence. What is the evidence? You don't start pointing a finger at a foreign country in the parliament of a nation when you really don't have any proof to show. And then what they could have done is, if they were unhappy with any diplomat, you quietly deport the diplomat and declare him persona non grata. But here he upped the ante. So he obviously playing to his domestic constituency. And their foreign minister begins by saying, I must sympathize with the family of Nijar, with all the friends. So it's a political game. It's a political game here, it's a political game there.
Let me hold you for a moment, because Daniel Boardman, is that what it is there in Toronto, a political game? You've got Mr. Trudeau, who's dependent on some of these more extreme elements for his political future, his political existence. He's playing to the gallery. He has in a way been seen to almost flirt with these elements.
Yeah, this is Justin Trudeau's MO. There have been reports. Listen, I personally know of staffers, so not elected officials, but I know people who have told me staffers of high-ranking Liberal officials are open Air India conspiracy theorists. They think the Indian government blew up the plane. So I know those people exist within the Liberal Party. They're in a coalition with the NDP. We all know Jagmeet Singh's views on Khalistan. He's not allowed in your country. So you could say, yeah, vote bank politics. They want the Khalistani vote, or the money running through the Khalistanis and this and that. And to an extent, that might be true. I think you're also underestimating the sort of ideological element to Justin Trudeau that we live with here. Justin Trudeau might not be the smartest man in the world, but he does believe what he thinks. He does, he does do what what his ideology purports, and it is this sort of intersectional leftism. I think the global term we would all understand would be woke, and for whatever reason, under wokeness or intersectionality, but India or Hindu loses to Khalistani or Muslim Brotherhood. So there is this anti-Indian element within the academia, within our our experts, in the same way the anti-Israel stuff manifests here in the West too. So I do think his inner circle is sort of these we'll say left-wing academic intersectional types who have these sort of warped views of India and all these India conspiracies. So I think this does sort of influence his decision-making, because I don't believe for a second this is about Canadian national security, because we've seen evidence recently of Chinese foreign diplomats in Canada. It's a huge scandal where there's a Chinese diplomat threatening the family of a sitting Canadian official. And the evidence comes out. We have the evidence. And it took the Liberals over a week, and we had to scream at them through Twitter and YouTube and everything to get them to kick this diplomat out, and they finally did it. And this was with public evidence. The entire country had to get behind Trudeau and force him to kick him out. And now with no public evidence, we're going to start a fight with one of our geopolitical allies, the biggest democracy in the world. This is insanity.
Okay, those are very strong words. This is insanity what Justin Trudeau is doing, playing to his gallery. It's also playing with fire, many would say. We had limited time on that. We'll, of course, come to these discussions, hopefully with Daniel and Casey on another day. But I appreciate both of you giving us your immediate comments on what's happened there in Canada. Appreciate you joining us. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're turning to our other stories of the day, including our Get Real and Good News stories. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
आरक्षण 1989 में जब राजीव जी प्रधानमंत्री थे, तब स्थानीय निकायों के चुनाव में उन्होंने 1/3 आरक्षण महिलाओं के लिए सुनिश्चित किया था। तत्पश्चात कांग्रेस की सरकारों ने लगातार प्रयास किया कि महिला आरक्षण का बिल पास हो, कानून बने। लोकसभा एवं विधानसभाओं के लिए भी 1/3 आरक्षण के लिए डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह की सरकार के वक्त जो ये बिल आया वो आज तक जीवित है, आज तक जीवित है। माननीय अधीर रंजन जी ने जो कहा वो फैक्चुअली इनकरेक्ट है कि पुराना बिल अभी भी जीवित है। मेरी स्पष्ट जानकारी है कि पुराना बिल लैप्स कर गया है। अधीर रंजन जी ने जो कहा है उसके समर्थन में उनके पास कोई डॉक्यूमेंट है तो टेबल पर रखने चाहिए। एक, या तो उन्होंने स्टेटमेंट विड्रॉ करना चाहिए। दूसरा, उन्होंने कहा कि इस बिल को लोकसभा ने भी कभी पारित किया था राजीव गांधी जी के समय में, कभी नहीं हुआ है। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, लोकसभा में जो बिल पारित होता है, अगर राज्यसभा उसको पारित नहीं करती है और लोकसभा का कार्यकाल समाप्त होता है तो वो बिल अपने आप लैप्स हो जाता है। मैं मानता हूं कि इस चीज को स्पष्टता करनी चाहिए और माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, अगर उनके पास अलग जानकारी है तो सदन के टेबल पर रखनी चाहिए।
Welcome back. Just about enough time to bring you a good news today story. There's always good news in this wonderful country. Today's good news is about a group of underprivileged students, some of them the children of day laborers belonging to various government schools in Andhra Pradesh, who have got a remarkable opportunity this month to address the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Conference in New York. Their story is our Good News Today story. Take a look.
This is my first trip to US. Participating in the SDG summit.
This is the first time to sit in United Nations General Assembly Hall.
A 10-member student delegation from Andhra Pradesh is in the United States for 2 weeks.
Hi, hello. We are here at United Nations headquarters, New York. We are representing Andhra Pradesh.
My father's name is C. Dastagiri. He is a lorry driver.
My father's name is G. Gopi and he is a farmer.
The children from underprivileged families have been invited to address the United Nations Sustainable Development Conference in New York. The students say it is a golden opportunity for them. As a part of the tour, these students are attending seminars at institutions like United States, World Bank, US Department of State and Columbia University.
We had a session about climate change. We had a discussion on with other country students who are like us about the environment changes in their areas and in our area also. I am very glad to be here at the Columbia University. I had also participated in the Eco Ambassador program and I had spoken about the women empowerment in the discussions, and also we made discussions with the new people from different countries. I am very excited for the further trips we had in this New York trip.
And we are very happy and feeling proud to represent Andhra Pradesh in this United Nations.
The highlight of their tour will be a visit to the White House.
Reforms the topmost priority.
The main objective of this international tour is to give meritorious children from Andhra Pradesh a global platform to learn, discuss and share new ideas with the world. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, just about then time for me to say good night, goodbye. But before that, it's Ganesh Chaturthi. And how can I leave you without an image of Lord Ganesh? Ganpati Bappa Moria is here. He's come a bit late this year. It's a late Ganesh Chaturthi. But that hasn't stopped the festivities all across the country, particularly in one of my home states of Maharashtra. So I leave you with all those images. If you have any modaks to share, you can always send them to me. I had my share of modaks today. I hope you will also celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi with great fervor. Bless you, your families. Vigna, Vihata, Ganesh Chaturthi. Good night. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
"28 months went into building this monumental narrative. An architectural masterpiece. A reflection of the nation's Atmanirbhar vision. Let's take you now on a tour of India's new parliament. The House of the People, our new Lok Sabha. Larger and grander. 888 seats. Almost 300 more than the old chamber. This is the brand new Rajya Sabha, bigger, more spacious. Designed to accommodate 384 members, around 100 more seats than the present upper house. Vastness is just one element of this stately complex. India's new parliament embodies the Indian diversity in all its glory. materials sourced from across the country to build this temple of democracy. Teak wood from Nagpur in Maharashtra, Rajasthan's red and white sandstone. Carpets procured from Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh. The stone jali work bears the craftsmanship of Rajnagar in Rajasthan and Noida in Uttar Pradesh. Flooring of bamboo wood from the northeast from Agartala in Tripura. Indore in Madhya Pradesh sent the Ashok Chakra. The Ashok emblem sourced from Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar in Maharashtra and Jaipur in Rajasthan.
Terrorists are still believed to be holed up in the forest of Kokarnak. After the charred body of a terrorist was retrieved from a hideout on Sunday, security forces are trying to confirm his identity. The security forces believe the body could be of terrorist Uzair Ahmed Khan, an alleged member of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. DNA test is being conducted to ascertain the terrorist identity. Meanwhile, Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha met the family of DSP Humayun Bhatt, who was killed in action during the Anantnag encounter. Expressing his condolences, he assured the family of all assistance and support from the administration. Earlier, the Lieutenant Governor had asserted that the deaths of the Indian braves will be avenged soon.
जवानों के लहू के एक कतरे का हिसाब पूरी तरह सूद समेत लिया जाएगा। आतंकी किसी संगठन के उनके सरपरस्तों को बड़ी कीमत चुकानी है। हर एक बहादुर जवान के पीछे पूरा देश खड़ा है।
Security forces are in a final push to flush out all the terrorists involved in the attack that killed 3 soldiers and a police officer. With Kamaljit Sandhu and Ashraf Wani in Srinagar, Bureau Report, India Today.
Watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Powered by Volkswagen. Co-powered by PolicyBazaar.com. हर family होगी insured.
There is massive outrage over a distorted map of India put out by a Canadian Punjabi singer, Shub. Shub has shared a distorted map of India, and this map did not show Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab and the Northeast as part of India. And Pray for Punjab was written alongside a distorted map picture. Canadian Punjabi singer Shub is now in the eye of a storm. In fact, cricketer Virat Kohli has unfollowed this Canadian Punjabi singer Shub. India is up in arms. Canada's inaction against Khalistan terror supporters and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau blaming India. claiming there are credible allegations of a potential link between agents of India and the killing of Khalistan terror backer Hardeep Singh Nijjar. And then you have a Canadian Punjabi singer sharing a distorted map of India. The singer has a number of concerts in India. So they want to make money in India through concerts and yet want to share distorted maps of India that do not show Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab or the northeastern states as part of India. Is this acceptable, or India finally saying enough is enough? I'm Gaurav Sawant. We get to the latest on this big story, but first as always the headlines on India First. Historic women's quota bill to bring 33% reservation for women in Lok Sabha and state assemblies introduced in the new parliament. Credit war escalates over women's quota bill. Sonia Gandhi says Congress had introduced this bill first. Union Home Minister Amit Shah hits out, says women's quota was just tokenism for the Congress. But question marks remain if the bill will be passed and implemented anytime in the near future. And India has finally transitioned to the new parliament with a symbolic march led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the new Sansad, the old parliament now to be called Samvidhan Sadan. Security forces avenged the death of our Anantnag braves. Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist Uzair Khan neutralized after 7 days of the anti-terror operation in South Kashmir. But I want to focus again on this distorted map of India, an image of the distorted map that was shared by Canadian Punjabi singer Shubh. And this map did not show, this picture did not show Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab and the Northeast as parts of India. And the caption was "Pray for Punjab," that was written alongside the distorted map picture. Of course, there was massive outrage when this map, when this picture was put out, and after the outrage, Shubh deleted that picture but put out that message again, "Pray for Punjab." But the Canadian Punjabi singer Shubh is in the eye of a storm. In fact, cricketers, not just Virat Kohli but several others, have unfollowed this Canadian Punjabi singer Shubh. KL Rahul and Hardik Pandya, we are told, have also unfollowed the Canadian Punjabi singer. But that's not all. There is a massive clamour to cancel Shubh concerts in India. One of the main advertisers, Boat has withdrawn its advertising for the Shubh concert. And this singer is scheduled to have multiple concerts, not just in Mumbai, but across multiple cities. By some accounts, he wants to have 12 concerts in India in several cities, including in Mumbai, in Bengaluru, in Hyderabad, and one in the Delhi NCR region. Before I get you more on the story and get you the latest from our reporters, let me bring you this report.
Facing the music, the youth wing of the BJP tore down posters of a Canadian Punjabi rapper, Shubneet Singh, ahead of his upcoming concert in Mumbai. A 26-year-old singer accused of supporting Khalistani elements. His Mumbai performance, scheduled for September 23rd to 25th, is in hot water. His social media activity apparently espousing separatism came back to haunt him. The singer had earlier shared a distorted map of India.
भारत की एकता और अखंडता के शत्रु खालिस्तानी समर्थकों का भारत में कोई स्थान नहीं। देश को तोड़ने की साजिश करने वाले कैनेडियन सिंगर शुभ को हम भारत में महाराष्ट्र के छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज की इस पावन धरती पर मुंबई में हम उसे परफॉर्म करने नहीं देंगे। अगर उचित कार्रवाई नहीं होगी तो आयोजकों को हमारे विरोध का सामना करना होगा।
The BJYM has written to the Mumbai police seeking action against Shubhdeep Singh, known by his stage name Shubh. They also called for cancellation of his shows and registration of an FIR against the rapper. Cricket stars Virat Kohli, KL Rahul and Hardik Pandya, who once followed Shubh for his rap on social media, have now unfollowed him. The Canadian Punjabi rapper's planned 3-month tour across 12 major Indian cities is in jeopardy. Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to come to some breaking news reports that are coming in, but before that I want to cut across to Shiv Arur for more on the story. Shiv, explain this rising anger in India.
You know, Gaurav, the sentiment against this Canadian rapper, singer, Shubh, has always been there ever since he had, posted on his social media, on his Instagram, a distorted picture of India without Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir and the Northeast, and it said, pray for Punjab. This was, Shubh had put this on his official social media. There was a huge backlash against him. But now the anger is not so much against him as it is against his Indian sponsors, those who've invited him to come and perform concerts here in India. Starting September the 23rd, there are apparently 4 concerts scheduled in Mumbai, in Delhi, in Hyderabad and Bengaluru as well. You've had one of India's most popular gadget and electronics companies, Boat, which is a principal sponsor for this concert tour, which has announced that it is pulling out of the sponsorship after, hearing about this social media post, this very, very offensive and derogatory social media post that Shubh had put out earlier. And now there's a huge backlash against Book My Show, the online ticketing company that is a partner for the ticketing operations of the Shubh concerts. In fact, uninstall Book My Show, unfollow Book My Show are trending currently on social media. We also hear, like we reported yesterday, that Virat Kohli has unfollowed Shubh, which may not sound like much, but in the world of social media, that's the equivalent of a thermonuclear weapon. A big celebrity like Virat Kohli following you, huge, unfollowing you, even bigger. And obviously, everyone wants to distance themselves. Shubh has become, kryptonite here in India, but it remains to be seen whether these concerts will actually go through. In the past, we've seen whenever there is rising sentiment, emotion, the possibility of a law and order situation have led to concerts being cancelled in different parts of the country. Will it happen this time? We don't know yet. However, it does come at a time, remember, when the Khalistan issue, something which Shubh has, openly expressed his sympathies for because he's a Canadian, has risen to a fever pitch with Shubh's own Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, attacking India by pointing a finger at India and blaming India for the murder of Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. So all of this comes together and it's going to be fanning that entire sentiment into a frenzy. So it remains to be seen what happens. Boat has pulled out. Virat Kohli has pulled out. Will Book My Show also pull out? Will the event organizers also decide, to play safe and cancel these concerts? We'll have to wait and see.
No, so if somebody is a Khalistan supporter, if somebody is putting out pictures of a distorted map of India, which does not show Jammu and Kashmir as part of India, which does not show Northeast as part of India, which does not show Punjab as part of India, should somebody like that be allowed to perform 12 concerts in our country and make money out of our country by showing distorted maps of India? Or by being a Khalistan sympathizer? I want to bring in Roshni for more on this story. Roshni joins us from Mumbai. Also, famous author and Canadian journalist Terry Milvsky joins us on the broadcast. But before I come to Terry Milvsky, Roshni, just explain the anger in Mumbai and tell us what kind of a concert is being planned. Are they actually going ahead with this?
Absolutely. This has been noticed that after his distorted map picture has been going viral and tremendous outrage in the people that has been noticed. People have been showing their anger by on Twitter hashtagging he's out about the anger. Also in Mumbai, it has been noticed that he was supposed to perform on a cruise. from September 23rd to 25th. But now, since the Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha has been extending their anger and even have filed FIR against him for posting such an image of map where there has been showing that omitting Punjab, Kashmir, Jammu and the Northeast has been really disheartening for them as well, because if you're coming to Mumbai, performing, asking people to watch you, and then you are posting something like that is extremely heartbreaking for them as well.
Roshni, stay with me for a moment. I want to bring in Terry Milski into this conversation, and Terry is the author of Blood for Blood, 50 years of the global Khalistan project. Terry Milski, as always, welcome on India Today, sir. Sir, even as we speak, there is breaking news that's coming in that Canada has issued a travel advisory. Canada does not want its citizens to travel to India and does not want any non-essential travel to India. What do you make of this provocation by Justin Trudeau, and what do you make of his statement, sir?
I would say get used to it, because now we're at the beginning of a whole series of provocations. You've seen the Shub map, you've seen the travel warning for Canadians traveling to India. There is going to be a bare knuckles brawl now between the two countries as a result of Trudeau's statement yesterday that he figures he has evidence that India has been sending hit squads out and has committed murder on Canadian soil. So far, the real issue is the hole in the heart of what Trudeau said, the whole being the complete lack of evidence. The evidence has been lacking ever since June the 18th, when Hardeep Nijjar was gunned down. At the time, the Khalistani movement in Canada and elsewhere said, oh, the Indians did it, because apparently a series of 3 Khalistani leaders died at various places around the world. There was no connection. There was no evidence that India was involved, but they treated it as an article of faith. It's like old-time religion. You had to believe it. All the Khalistanis were singing from the same song sheet. Now they're going to be stepping it up. And you've seen 2 different ways, the travel warning, the shoot map. You'll see lots of other ways where they'll manage to keep up the heat for the lack of evidence, because they've got to cover up that lack of evidence is the problem. The problem is Trudeau needs to come across and say, well, does he have the goods? Does he have hard evidence to show that India was involved in this? And if so, where is it? And if he won't show it, and he says, oh, well, it's classified, I can't talk about it, I mustn't interfere with the investigation. Well, he just did interfere with the investigation by making this announcement, didn't he?
In fact, that's the
results of the investigation. And
that's the point I'm coming to. When the Prime Minister of a country, midway through investigations, because if investigations are not over, talks about things like that is credible allegation. So it's a credible allegation, no, not evidence of a potential link, which would mean a link hasn't been established. Does this indicate that Justin Trudeau, 1, has jumped the gun? 2, in your appreciation, why would he do so?
Well, he's jumping the gun, yes, and the answer to why would he do it is because he's in a big hole. He's down in the polls, way down in the polls. If there were an election held tomorrow, there won't be, but if there were, then the Conservatives would almost certainly win it. And he's facing a tiredness on the part of Canadians that he's had his turn. It's time for a change. And so then add to that the humiliation that he received at the hands of Narendra Modi at the G20 in New Delhi, with Modi basically giving him a sort of not very diplomatic punch in the nose for harboring people who were painting targets on the backs of Indian diplomats by putting out these killer posters naming diplomats from India as killers of Hardeep Nijjar and the rest. And add to all of this the fact that not only is there no evidence that we know of to back up what the Prime Minister is saying, add to this the fact that at the same time, the police have said nothing. They have not identified the shooters, never mind the people who paid them. We're looking presumably for some Indian government hand in recruiting whoever it was that actually did the shooting. That's the way it goes in Surrey. Almost every weekend you have some shooting. But the police have said nothing about any Indian hand in this, and they have not even arrested the people who did the shooting. That suggests that this hole in the heart of what Trudeau said, this lack of evidence,
very big
is even
statement
bigger than
that
I
you're
said.
making. That's a very big statement you're making. So the police in Surrey, the police in Canada have made no arrests. They haven't named anyone. And the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, has gone ahead and linked this to India. But sir, I want to understand from you, Terry Milski, is India's request for action against Khalistani elements in Canada an unreasonable demand? Are there Khalistan terror supporters in Canada? And you've studied the subject extensively.
The answer is yes, there are. And no, they are not reined in as much as they could be. For example, I'll just give you one example. 17 years ago, in 2006, Britain updated its legislation to ban and criminalize the glorification of terrorism. There are probably 30 other countries in Europe who have done the same since then. Canada has not. So it is completely normal and legal in Canada to praise and exalt and to glorify the Air India bomber, no less. The Kanishka bomber, Telvida Parmar, killed 331 innocent civilians by blowing up a plane. To put him up on the wall of a Gurdwara, a life-size glorious portrait with ceremonial sword, ornate turban, the works. It's completely normal and legal in Canada to parade through the streets of Toronto on the back of a truck with a life-size diorama celebrating the assassination of Indira Gandhi in 1984. It's legal and it's normal in Canada to have these posters identifying the names and the pictures of diplomats. We want you to go and get these guys, and we're going to call them killers and offer rewards of $10,000 for the home addresses of these diplomats that we want you to go and get. All of this is normal and legal. The glorification of terrorism is legal in Canada. It must not be. That's one giant step that Canada could take and still hasn't.
But why hasn't Canada taken this step? Because I want to understand from you, anywhere in the civilized world, there'd be anger and outrage if somebody were to say that planes would fall off the skies and then go ahead and kill 50,000 Hindus, and yet somebody like that would be shielded in Canada, and not just Justin Trudeau, but as you've written in your book, by Pierre Trudeau failing to hand over the suspects before that bombing took place. Didn't India warn Canada? So there's a long history of this.
Oh, yeah, and it's as bad as you make it sound. It's actually worse. I mean, don't get me started on this. The specific and timely, urgent warnings came in, weeks before the Air India bombing. The CSIS officers, the intelligence officers of the Canadian government, actually followed them into the woods for a test bombing 3 weeks before the real thing. And in Toronto, they received a telex from Air India saying, look, we're getting all kinds of intelligence and threats. They're going to try to smuggle a bomb in the luggage on one of our planes. We've got to have airtight baggage security. What happened? The RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, put it on a shelf. They didn't do anything about it. Nothing at all. They ignored it. And said, well, those Indians, they're just looking for more free security. We've heard it all before. They didn't take it seriously. So it's actually worse than you say. So it's not all Trudeau's fault, and it's not clear to me that the Conservatives are going to be vastly different if they took power. Fact of the matter is that the Khalistani element in Canada is powerful, disciplined, well-organized, and plugged into politics. They've been doing a great job, and they're going to keep it up now. They're going to step it up now in order to back up Trudeau with this latest risk that he has taken, that he's going to be exposed as saying more than he really should have.
That's the point I was coming to. Is there merit then that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada is doing this for vote bank politics? Is that your reading of Justin Trudeau's actions? And does the Khalistan terror support vote bank actually see him back to power like it did in 2018?
The vote bank politics is baked into the governing Liberal Party of Canada, and it has been for years, long before Trudeau, as a matter of fact. It's so baked in that they completely used to believing what they are told by Khalistani propagandists in politics and choosing to run as candidates. For example, in Vancouver, there was a famous case where the Liberal Party members of the district selected a secular moderate Sikh candidate to take the seat once held by Ujjwal Assange.
Yes.
And the party brass came along and said, no, we want one that's endorsed by the World Sikh Organization, which is a separatist group. And they overrode their own membership in order to install him as a candidate. And he became eventually Haji Sajjan, the defense minister. So
Yes.
this kind of day-to-day accommodation and pandering to the Khalistanis is baked into the Liberal Party, and don't think for a minute that it's completely absent from the Conservative Party as well. And it's certainly present in the small party, which, as you well know, sustains the Trudeau Liberals in power, namely the NDP, which is led by Jagmeet Singh, who's a lifelong Khalistani sympathizer.
So, Justin Trudeau also reached out to the US, he reached out to UK. What is Canada's reading of the response by either G7 countries or Five Eye countries?
Well, we don't really know that yet. We do know that, for example, Rishi Sunak, the British Prime Minister, took a rather different approach, did he not, at the G20, saying that we're certainly going to, he said what Modi wanted him to say, that we're not going to allow any space for extremism on the part of the Khalistanis in Britain. And Rishi Sunak came out of that smelling like a rose. He was a hero in New Delhi and said just the right thing. Didn't actually do anything particularly different. But I remind you again that Britain has acted on the glorification of terrorism. The sharp edge, the bleeding edge of Khalistani sympathies. It's one thing to say, well, you can't stop people going down the street in Canada with a flag saying Khalistan Zindabad, but you can or you should be able to stop them glorifying terrorism, inciting violence against diplomats, and praising the assassination of Indira Gandhi. So I think that what's going to happen now is you'll hear a bare-knuckle brawl, really.
Okay.
The absence of diplomacy in favor of bare-knuckle politics as India and Canada duke it out over this. And we will have to see if Trudeau doesn't have the goods, I believe he may be finished.
Okay. So if Trudeau doesn't have the goods, he may well be finished. And Terry Milsky understands Canada. He understands Khalistan terror. He's reported on it extensively, and I will let that be the last word on this part of the show. For joining me here on India First, Terry Milsky, as always, many thanks. So brace now. Brace for the bare-knuckle brawl between Canada and India in the days and weeks ahead. And we'll be tracking that story very closely and exposing state sponsors of terror and Khalistan terror backers. A quick break. My colleague Shiv Arur comes up with lots more on India's anger against Canada's support to Khalistani elements. Stay with us.
आरक्षण 1989 में जब राजीव जी प्रधानमंत्री थे तब स्थानीय निकायों के चुनाव में उन्होंने 1/3 आरक्षण महिलाओं के लिए सुनिश्चित किया था। तत्पश्चात कांग्रेस की सरकारों ने लगातार प्रयास किया कि महिला आरक्षण का बिल पास हो, कानून बने, लोकसभा एवं विधानसभाओं के लिए भी 1/3 आरक्षण के लिए डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह की सरकार के वक्त जो ये बिल आया वो आज तक जीवित है, आज तक जीवित है।
माननीय अधीर रंजन जी ने जो कहा वो फैक्चुअली इनकरेक्ट है कि पुराना बिल अभी भी जीवित है। मेरी स्पष्ट जानकारी है कि पुराना बिल लैप्स कर गया है। अधीर रंजन जी ने जो कहा है उसके समर्थन में उनके पास कोई डॉक्यूमेंट है तो टेबल पर रखने चाहिए। एक, या तो उन्होंने स्टेटमेंट विड्रॉ करना चाहिए। दूसरा, उन्होंने कहा कि इस बिल को लोकसभा ने भी कभी पारित किया था राजीव गांधी जी के समय में, कभी नहीं हुआ है। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, लोकसभा में जो बिल पारित होता है, अगर राज्यसभा उसको पारित नहीं करती है और लोकसभा का कार्यकाल समाप्त होता है तो वो बिल अपने आप लैप्स हो जाता है। मैं मानता हूं कि इस चीज को स्पष्टता करनी चाहिए और माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, अगर उनके पास अलग जानकारी है तो सदन के टेबल पर रखनी चाहिए।
Now, months ago, when the new parliament building was unveiled, when you had the inauguration by the Prime Minister in that grand puja, there was a lot of talk about a symbol of sovereignty and transfer of power in the times of the Chola Empire, which was revived. I'm referring to the Sengol. And here's a look at the journey of the Sengol. It's been much debated, but what exactly is the story behind this artifact?
Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny. And now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge, not wholly or in full measure, but very substantially. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
This landmark tryst carries a backstory. A backstory rarely told. A backstory that dates back to the Chola Empire, a Tamil dynasty that originated in the Kaveri Valley and ruled the region for over 500 years until the 13th century. Just before the Union Jack came down and 300 years of British rule ended. The transfer of power was emblematically encapsulated in the Tamil ceremony. Priests from prominent Tamil mutts carried a 5-foot scepter, sprinkled it with holy water, and handed it to Pandit Nehru at his Delhi home at sunset on August 14th. This wasn't an ordinary symbol of sovereignty. Called Sengol, derived from the Sanskrit word shank or a conch, surmounted by a carving of Nandi, Shiva's sacred bull. The golden staff, made by craftsmen in what was then called Madras, was modelled after the wand that the Chola kings would hand to their successors. The choice wasn't random. It was the outcome of deep thoughts and research. Pandit Nehru turned to freedom fighter C. Rajagopalachari for suggestions regarding a symbol for the transfer of power from the British to the Indians. Rajagopalachari found the answer in history. He contacted a leading mutt down south to create the Sengol of the Chola tradition. Its seer then commissioned the job to the famous Vumidi Bangaru jewelers.
2023 is the International Year of Millets. All throughout this year, the Indian government has been pushing for the production and the promotion of millets. And the G20 summit held in Delhi was really no different. Here's how we've been pushing for these miracle grains which are abundantly grown in India.
Nudge people towards millets, it's a completely different thing to go.
Many of the dishes millet-based, in line with Narendra Modi government's big push for millet.
Millets menu out and out.
For all the G21 leaders, where the star ingredient was the Indian millet.
Let's just tell you how the superfood ruled the menus during the whole G20 summit in New Delhi this year. India served millet to world leaders at a gala dinner at the end of the first day of the G20 Leaders Summit in New Delhi. The dinner, hosted by the President Draupadi Murmu, involved 3 courses of vegetarian food that celebrated an autumn season of abundance with different kinds of millet. Among the delicacies were oxtail millet leaf crisps topped with yogurt and spiced chutney, Kerala red rice tossed with millet crisps and curry leaf, and a cardamom-scented barnyard millet pudding with fig. But that was not it. Each hotel hosting a stay to the delegates of G20 had their specific platters planned with millets, only showcasing the incredible flavors of India. Millets are being touted as a healthy alternative to wheat or rice, and the push for it is on.
On the insistence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization named 2023 as the International Year of Millets.
मैं आज FAO को विशेष धन्यवाद देता हूं कि उसने वर्ष 2023 को इंटरनेशनल ईयर ऑफ मिलेट्स घोषित करके भारत के प्रस्ताव को पूरा समर्थन दिया है।
India made sure that the humble grain gets recognized by global guests. We have more to add in this episode, so let's dive into the world of mighty millets. With Simranjeet Kaur Renu in New Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
Big allegation by the Canadian Prime Minister against India set this morning's news agenda. He stood up in Parliament and he said the death of Canadian Sikh leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who is a commander of the Khalistan Commando Force. He's a terrorist. Plain and simple, not by anyone's imagination, but by several different countries. A terrorist was named and defended by the Canadian Prime Minister in order to point a finger at India. If you missed the story, here it is.
The gloves are off. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Monday announced in Parliament Indian agents could be behind the killing of Canadian citizen Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Khalistani terrorist wanted in India.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
We've been clear, Canada has expelled an Indian diplomat over what it calls the involvement of a foreign government in its internal affairs. Within hours of Canada's provocation, New Delhi retaliated by expelling a senior Canadian diplomat.
External Affairs Minister. Sir, you meet the... You got... External Affairs Minister.
India has called Canada's accusations absurd and politically motivated to shift the focus from Khalistani terrorists and extremists who are being allowed a free run there.
Phrase which came to my mind was actually a Hindi phrase, which was "Ulta chor kotwal ko dante." I mean, if anybody has a complaint, we have a complaint about Canada. You know, what I said earlier, the space that they're giving to Khalistanis and to violent extremists. So I was very perplexed by what I heard.
Nijjar, whom India had declared a wanted terrorist, was gunned down on June 18th in Surrey. The NIA had issued an arrest warrant for Nijjar, accusing him of carrying out terrorist attacks in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had taken up the issue of Khalistani extremists getting a voice in Canada in his bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Trudeau in Delhi on the sidelines of G20. Trudeau claims he'd discussed Nijjar's killing with the Indian Prime Minister. Canada had recently suspended negotiations for a free trade agreement with India. With the latest accusations, the already sour diplomatic relations between the two countries have hit a new low. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now I want to get a word in, an expert view from Sushant Sareen. He's Senior Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation and one of India's most well-known and well-regarded strategic affairs experts. Gaurav Sawant, our Managing Editor, is also with us. Sushant Sareen, first to you. You know, I've been following some of the things you've been saying on social media since this story broke. You know, what do you think about what has happened? What Trudeau said in Parliament and the things that have taken place following that? One diplomat expelled there, another diplomat expelled here. Your view?
You know, Shiv, just look at what the Canadians have said, on the basis of which they've taken what can be called the diplomatic side of a nuclear option. What does Trudeau say? Credible allegations, and then he says potential link. And then he goes on to, give an entire litany of charges, none of which he has substantiated. His foreign minister then comes in and she says that there are allegations of involvement, and if these allegations are proven true, it would be very serious, right? Now, these allegations are still allegations. They have not been proven true, and yet they decide that they're going to expel an Indian diplomat. Now, clearly, this it smacks of something more than just simple, any information they might have. And let's talk about Canadian intelligence, or the lack of it. And the pun is on the word intelligence. Look at what the Indians have been telling the Canadians, that these Khalistani thugs who operate like a mafia, and like a mafia are organized, and they have politicians in their pay, perhaps at the highest levels of Canadian politics. Because why else would somebody like a prime minister or a foreign minister of a country defend a terrorist, right?
Yes.
A man who's also believed to be involved in drug smuggling and human trafficking. And yet, India has been apprising the Canadian intelligence of these characters. We've even demanded extradition of some of these fellows, and the Canadians have pretended that nothing is happening. How does that work? And suddenly their intelligence has become, or their security services have become so smart that they've unveiled the entire whatever happened to this Niger fellow, right? How has that happened? Then you come across Canadian investigation skills, and you yourself in your initial report, you spoke about the the bombing of the Air India aircraft and the bombing of the Narita airport, and everybody's gone away scot-free. Now, what kind of intelligence or what kind of investigation work do these Canadians do, that they are now coming out openly and leveling these kind of allegations? And then, look, Canada has accused India of interference. But we know it for a fact, and I hold my own government responsible for turning a blind eye.
Yes.
There has been money which has been funneled from Canada into India to fund political agitation in India, to fund political parties in India. Isn't that political interference? The Canadians sitting in Canada openly and publicly claim to have carried out political assassinations, to have carried out gangland murders, etc., etc. And the Canadians write about them that these are political activists. This is freedom of speech and conscience.
Indeed, yes.
Would the Canadian authorities allow Al-Qaeda sympathizers to take out floats glorifying and eulogizing the 9/11 attackers?
Very, very true. Very true. This is
freedom of conscience and freedom of speech only when it is about killing Indians and Hindus? Let's talk about Canadian security services. There have been open threats against Indian diplomats. They have asked for their addresses. This is what Pakistanis do. You know, when the Pakistanis were trying to get even with the American diplomats, they would name American diplomats, they would give their addresses, paint a target on their back. The Canadian have allowed this to go unanswered. They have allowed the vandalization of Hindu temples, the defiling of Hindu temples, and the defiling of the Indian High Commission to go unanswered. Threats have been issued against Canadian citizens.
Absolutely.
And against Indian diplomats, and the Canadians have not acted on it. That is not hate speech for Mr. Trudeau and his foreign minister.
I want to just bring Gaurav in, Mr. Sarin, for a moment, because you rightly talked about how the Indian government also needs to be asked questions in this case. Gaurav, multiple dossiers have been provided. The External Affairs Ministry statement suggests that Prime Minister Modi, in fact, may have brought this up, with Trudeau directly during that G20 pull aside as well. A tit-for-tat action being taken by the Indian government. But is this likely to escalate further?
It certainly is expected to escalate, Shiv.
India has been more than kind with Justin Trudeau. Of course, India has given Justin Trudeau the cold shoulder, even when he came to India in 2018 and stayed here for a week. It was virtually outstaying his hospitality even that time. But you remember all that song and dance and wearing traditional Indian clothes and dancing like in a wedding. Justin Trudeau did all of that, but that didn't cut ice with government of India because of Justin Trudeau's support to Khalistani elements, and the Narendra Modi government has been very firm from day one. Yes, we want great relationship with Canada. Yes, we want to move forward on the trade agreement. At the same time, we do not want Khalistanis in Canada spewing venom against India in the name of free speech and also trying to break India's sovereignty and Justin Trudeau government encouraging a secessionist movement. Shiv, that tableau showing the assassination of late Prime Minister Indira Gandhi at Brampton. In any civilized society, heads would have rolled for such a tableau. But in Canada, Justin Trudeau has actually tried to pass it off as free speech. If this is free speech, Shiv, and that inaction against Karima Baloch's killers, it just shows when these so-called liberals and Islamists come together, it's a very lethal cocktail. And India's actually warned Canada that this lethal cocktail will have dangerous ramifications for Canada. And we are seeing what's happening there.
Viewer, I have a list in front of me, and this is exclusive to India Today, of 12 gangsters, Khalistanis and terrorists who are all hiding abroad. And out of these 12, 9 of them are currently enjoying a life of freedom in Canada. This is including Goldie Brar, the famous Goldie Brar, who was in the Moosewala murder, Lakhbir Singh alias Landa, Sukhdul Singh alias Sukha, Arshdeep Singh alias Arsh Dalla, Satvir Singh Waring alias Sam Abohar, Charanjit Singh alias Rinku Bhila, Sanavar Dhillon, and Gurpinder Singh alias Baba. So 9 of the 12 people, and I want to come back to Sushant Sareen on this and the larger picture. Sushant, I want to know, the information is there, the data is there, it's beyond proven that Canada has become a kind of safe haven. Before I go to Sushant, let me just bring in the reporter who broke this story, Arvind Oja. I believe we have him live. Sushant, I'll come right back to you. Arvind, 12 नाम है इस लिस्ट पे, 9 नाम अभी भी कनाडा में हैं, कनाडा में लाइफ जी रहे हैं. Arvind, can you hear me? Arvind, can you hear me? Okay, we'll go back to Arvind in just a moment. Sushant, while we wait for our reporter, I'll come to you on that. This is just one more page, as it were. In a long list of evidence and proof and names that have so far proven pretty futile in terms of expecting any action from the Canadian side. Now, for reasons mysterious to us, many Khalistanis have been dropping like flies, including Nijjar himself 3 months ago. But I want to ask a bigger question, because it's not about 1 or 2 guys, mysteriously dying somewhere. What more action can be taken? Because I think that's what the real question needs to be right now. It's not about a dozen gangsters here or there. It's about making sure a real message is sent.
Shiv, number one, it's not just about a dozen gangsters. This is like Dawood Ibrahim in Karachi and all these gangsters in Canada, right? There is now a clear, linkage you can draw between Canada and Karachi. And frankly, that is something which you cannot afford to ignore because of the nexus between terrorism, between drug running, between these criminal gangs. So clearly, the government of India will have to up the ante. Now, there are many things India can do. For example, there are Khalistani fellows who have published material saying that, such and such person came to India at least 3 or 4 times, carried out a hit, and then went back to Canada.
Yes.
How are they able to come? This whole OCI, PIO business, it needs to be reviewed because after all, you are giving it to them like, people are distributing reveries. This is not a right. This is a privilege which is accorded to people of Indian origin. But if those people become a threat to India, you have to start withdrawing this. Now, you will have to do it in a way that it is non-discriminatory so that you don't target a particular faith or a particular religion. So you do it for everybody, you vet everybody, and like the Canadians make Indian security force officials write down their entire kacha chitta, you make all the people write down this big 2-page, 3-page, 10-page kind of a disclaimer about their, and a complete giving all details about where they live, where they interact, where they work, etc.
Yes.
Number one. Number two, I think the government of India, if you read the press release carefully, after the expulsion, the government of India has said that Canadian diplomats, not diplomat, Canadian diplomats have been found doing anti-India activities. Now what? We have sent one guy back home. What about the plural in it? And what about this consulate which they are running in Chandigarh, which is right on the border of Punjab and Haryana? What are the activities of diplomats out there? Are we keeping a watch on that? And has the time come to maybe start shutting these things down and preventing Canadian diplomats the kind of freedom of movement which they have so far been allowed?
Yes.
Treat them like the Pakistanis, right? Pakistanis are confined to just the municipal limits of New Delhi. Give the same treatment to the Canadians if needed. If we get the same treatment in Canada, heavens are not going to fall. It's not such an important country for us anyways, right? So, but I think you will have to up the ante, at least insofar or as far as the Trudeau government is concerned, because it has proved to be not just a hostile government, it has proved to be a positively an enemy government.
Okay,
right?
an enemy government.
Actions they have taken and the kind of actions they have not taken.
Strong words, and that actually puts it into perspective. What is clear is that things have to happen now. The ante has to be raised. It's come to a point where shots have been fired, and now the Indian government can't perhaps only stop at a tit-for-tat response to the Canadian government expelling one of our diplomats over there. Arvind Ojha, our crime chief, is with us. Arvind is the one who's broken that very important list. It comes on a day when Justin Trudeau has pointed a finger at India as far as Hardeep Singh Nijjar is concerned. Arvind, ये जो 12 नाम है इस लिस्ट पर, उसमें से 9 लोग कनाडा में बैठे हैं, कनाडा से खुलेआम ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं. क्या कुछ एक्शन लिया जा रहा है? क्या कुछ रिस्पांस है इंडियन गवर्नमेंट से कि ये लिस्ट तो है हाथ में, लेकिन उनके खिलाफ क्या किया जा रहा है?
नहीं, देखिए, अगर हरदीप सिंह निज्जर से हम शुरू करें शिव, तो हरदीप सिंह निज्जर को लेकर इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने कई बार कनाडा की जो सरकार है उससे सपोर्ट मांगा था. कई बार जो पूरी केस डिटेल्स है वो दी गई थी, लेकिन कनाडियन गवर्नमेंट ने कोई सपोर्ट नहीं दिखाया. यहाँ एक चीज और पॉइंट आउट करना चाहता हूँ. जिस तरह से कनाडा की सरकार ने ये बताया कि हरदीप सिंह निज्जर कनेडियन सिटीजन था, ये भी अपने आप में, जो एजेंसी के लोग कहना है कि ये भी अपने आप में काफी हास्यास्पद है, हंसाने वाली बात है. क्योंकि एक अक्यूज जो फेक पासपोर्ट पर कनाडा जाता है, जो वांटेड लिस्ट में, उसको कैसे सिटीजनशिप कनाडा की मिली? तो इसको लेकर भी कंट्रोवर्सी एजेंसीज के बीच है, जो बातचीत चल रही है. नंबर 1. नंबर 2, जो गोल्डी बरार है, उससे खुद इंडिया टुडे ने अभी रिसेंट इंटरव्यू किया था, और गोल्डी बरार ने ये एडमिट किया था कि वो काफी टाइम कनाडा में था. खासतौर से जब सिद्धू मूसेवाले का मर्डर हुआ, वो कनाडा में ही मौजूद था. उसके बाद वो कहीं शिफ्ट हुआ. उसके अलावा 2 और ऐसे बड़े नाम है, जिसमें अर्शदीप सिंह एलियस अर्श डाला, जो इंडिया टॉप मोस्ट वांटेड टेररिस्ट है, जिसने कल ही एक कांग्रेस के लीडर का मर्डर कराया है पंजाब में. वो पंजाब से भागा, कनाडा में शिफ्ट है, खालिस्तान टाइगर फोर्स के साथ, ISI के साथ मिलकर पंजाब में टारगेट किलिंग करा रहा है. उसके अलावा लखबीर सिंह लांडा, ये वो नाम है जिसने अभी रिसेंट में पंजाब में देखा होगा, अपने मोहाली में इंटेलिजेंस बिल्डिंग पे अटैक करवाया था रॉकेट लॉन्चर से मेन सिटी में. वो कनाडा में बैठा हुआ है. तो ये वो टेररिस्ट है जो हाल फिलहाल में, जिन्होंने न सिर्फ इंडिया में बल्कि पंजाब में बड़े पैमाने पर टेरर जो NIA है, जो इंडियन गवर्नमेंट है, वो लगातार कनाडा की एजेंसीज से, कनाडा के गवर्नमेंट से कहती है कि इनको डिपोर्ट किया जाए, इनके खिलाफ एक्शन लिया जाए. लेकिन कनाडा की गवर्नमेंट ने किसी तरह का कोई सपोर्ट नहीं दिया. हरदीप निज्जर की बात जिस तरह से की जा रही है कि हरदीप निज्जर का जो मर्डर है वो इंडियन एजेंसीज ने कराया, कि हकीकत यह है कि कनाडा में कई ऐसे गैंगस्टर हैं कई ऐसे टेररिस्ट हैं जिनको
जी, और जी अरविंद, और ये तो साफ बिल्कुल है अभी कि कनाडा इज नॉट गोइंग टू टेक एनी एक्शन. दे हैव नॉट टेकन एनी एक्शन अगेंस्ट terrorists that India has named. Forget about gangsters. But like Sushant very importantly pointed out, that distinction may be technical, but these terrorist groups run like a mafia. They are very much hand in glove with these gangsters as well. The gangsters and the terrorist organizations are very fluid with each other. They come in and out. So it's all, in many ways, one large mafia that we're talking about. 9 of those 12 are hiding in Canada. I've got some breaking news. All of you, please stay with me. I've got some breaking news coming in. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has just snubbed his Canadian counterpart Justin Trudeau after Trudeau dialed Biden, Sunak and Macron, the president of France. The UK government says trade talks with India will continue. Remember, Trudeau had dialed Biden, Sunak and Macron, hoping to try and lobby against the Indian government, perhaps after India-Canada relations have hit ahead. Sunak has just issued a statement saying trade talks with India will continue. Gaurav, let me quickly bring you in on this. Trudeau clearly doing part of his job, which is to drum up support, for his line that he's taken against India. Sunak says he's not in the mood.
You're absolutely right, Shiv. Intelligence cooperation between these 5 countries, they're all part of Five Eyes, the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand. And in all of this, Justin Trudeau is desperately trying to drum up support. None of that support seems to be coming his way, at least not as yet, because Five Eyes, if there was something like this happening, Five Eyes would be in the loop on this. And in this current scenario, when a question was put to the British Prime Minister's press team, they simply got back saying trade talks with India are going as scheduled and they hope for an early conclusion. So completely dismissing what Justin Trudeau has been trying to say. Australia, once again, when a question was put to Anthony Albanese, he just asked journalists to chill out, and he said if there's intelligence, it remains intelligence and not speculation. So, there is really no support coming Canada's way just as yet, because facts are on India's side. It is Canada that's shielding terrorism. That's Canada that's shielding these elements with evidence out in public domain.
Yes.
And Canada's trying to shift the blame on India. As Sushant Sareen rightly said, quite like what Pakistan used to do, Canada is doing currently.
These are small actions, but they're going to add up to bigger things. Remember, the big picture still remains. How does one disincentivize the Canadian government from doing what it has done since the late 1970s? It has not changed, which means nothing that India has done has forced a policy change in Canadian governments, one after the other, as far as Khalistani terrorists is concerned. We'll keep tracking that story. Thanks very much, Sushant Sareen, Gaurav Sawant, Arvind Oja, for joining me on this.
You are watching India Today. Powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
नए संसद भवन की भव्यता आधुनिक भारत के महिमा को भी मंडित करती है. हमारे श्रमिक, हमारे इंजीनियर्स, हमारे कामगारों, उनका पसीना इसमें लगा है और कोरोना काल में भी उन्होंने जिस लगन से इस काम को किया है, क्योंकि मुझे कार्य जब चल रहा था तब उन श्रमिकों के बीच आने का बार बार मौका मिलता था और खास करके मैं उनके स्वास्थ्य को लेकर के उनसे मिलने आता था. लेकिन ऐसे समय भी उन्होंने इस बहुत बड़े सपने को पूरा किया. आज मैं चाहूंगा कि हम सब हमारे उन श्रमिकों का, हमारे उन कामगारों का, हमारे इंजीनियर्स का हृदय से धन्यवाद करें, हृदय से, क्योंकि उनके द्वारा निर्मित भावी पीढ़ियों को प्रेरणा देने वाला है.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 36 and minimum 27 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 28 and minimum 26 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 31 and minimum 25 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 28 and minimum 21 degrees. Chennai, maximum 33 and minimum 24 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 31 and minimum 22 degrees.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
This central hall was witness to Pandit Nehru's tryst with destiny speech on the eve of India's independence. And yesterday, the Prime Minister also mentioned this in his speech. I'm thankful to you because you remembered this historic speech on this yesterday's occasion. Sir, the India's independence during his speech, the Pandit Nehruji inter alia stated, which I quote, long years ago, we have made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge, not wholly or in full measures, but very substantially. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
नया संसद भवन अपने विशाल और सुंदर स्वरूप में एक नए विश्वास से भरे आत्मनिर्भर भारत का पहचान बनेगा। पार्लियामेंट हमेशा से एकता का प्रतीक रहा है। यह हमारे संविधान के मूल्यों की सुरक्षा करता है, जो विभिन्न भाषाओं, संस्कृतियों और परंपराओं के बावजूद हमें एक राष्ट्र के रूप में बांधने का काम करता है। यहाँ अनुभव का ज्ञान और युवाओं की ऊर्जा मिलकर 140 करोड़ देशवासियों के उज्जवल भविष्य को आकार देने का काम करते रहेगी। और मैं समझता हूं आज का दिन एक सकारात्मक सोच के साथ आगे बढ़ने का है। कई सारे विषय रहे, आजादी के बाद कई सारे चुनौतियां रही, शायद कई सारी चुनौतियां समय पे अगर समाधान कर दिया होता तो और जल्दी 2047 के पहले भी देश विकसित बन जाता। पर हमारे पास जो वर्ष मिले, जो काम करने का, देश ने सेवा करने का मौका दिया, उसमें जो अभूतपूर्व प्रगति देश ने देखी है, मैं समझता हूं इसको आगे लेकर इस देश को नई ऊंचाइयों तक माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में हम सब मिलकर काम करेंगे।
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. You are watching India Today. Powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
Hello, you're watching India Today and I'm Aishwarya Paliwal. Let's start the show with the headlines. Historic Women's Quota Bill to bring in 33% reservation for women in Lok Sabha in the State Legislative Assembly. This bill was introduced in the new parliament. Massive credit war going on over the Women's Quota Bill. Sonia Gandhi says it was the Congress that introduced the Quota Bill first. Home Minister Amit Shah hits out, says the women quota was just tokenism for Congress. But question mark if the bill will be implemented anytime in near future. India has finally transitioned to the new parliament with a symbolic march led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the new Sansad. Old parliament will now be called the Samvidhan Sadan. India and Canada in a big diplomatic war. Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau claims India's hand in the killing of Khalistani extremist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Ottawa expels top Indian diplomat while New Delhi retaliates by expelling a Canadian envoy. Now, the first day of the Lok Sabha session in the new parliament building started with a bang. It was the Prime Minister who announced a new Women's Reservation Bill that will be taken up in this session. 27 years since it was first tabled, this is a moment which actually is a milestone for women empowerment in our country. Take a look at this story to understand what happened in the parliament today.
नारी शक्ति वंदन अधिनियम, इसके माध्यम से हमारा लोकतंत्र और मजबूत होगा.
The suspense is over. The Narendra Modi government has brought the Nari Shakti Vandan Bill or the Women's Reservation Bill to the Lok Sabha. Prime Minister Modi broke the news making his first speech in the new parliament building on Tuesday, which also happened to be Ganesh Chaturthi.
आज जब महिलाएं हर सेक्टर में तेजी से आगे बढ़ रही हैं, नेतृत्व कर रही है, तो बहुत आवश्यक है कि नीति निर्धारण में, पॉलिसी मेकिंग में हमारी माताएं, बहनें, हमारी नारी शक्ति अधिकतम योगदान दें.
The bill tabled by Law and Justice Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal reserves 1/3 of seats in the Lok Sabha and state assemblies for women. 1/3 of seats under SC/ST quota will be reserved for women. The law, once passed, will come into effect after the delimitation is complete. The delimitation exercise will take place after the census is done. The reservation will be in place for 15 years.
अटल जी के कार्यकाल में कई बार महिला आरक्षण का बिल पेश किया गया, कई बार, लेकिन उसे पार कराने के लिए आंकड़े नहीं जुटा पाए और उसके कारण वो सपना अधूरा रह गया। ईश्वर ने ऐसे कई पवित्र काम के लिए मुझे चुना है।
इनकरेक्ट है।
Both BJP and Congress are seeking credit for the women's bill, which has been hanging fire for nearly 3 decades.
महिला आरक्षण 1989 में जब राजीव जी प्रधानमंत्री थे, तब स्थानीय निकायों के चुनाव में उन्होंने 1/3 आरक्षण महिलाओं के लिए सुनिश्चित किया था। तत्पश्चात कांग्रेस की सरकारों ने लगातार प्रयास किया कि महिला आरक्षण का बिल पास हो।
9 मार्च 2010 में राज्यसभा ने इसको पास किया। उसके बाद राज्यसभा ने कम्युनिकेट किया लोकसभा को, और जब रिपोर्ट किया तो लोकसभा के सेक्रेटरी जनरल जब इसको रिपोर्ट किया तो ये लोकसभा की प्रॉपर्टी बन गई। और 15वीं लोकसभा जैसे ही भंग हुई, अध्यक्ष जी, 15वीं लोकसभा जैसे ही भंग हुई 18 मई 2014 को, ये बिल भी लैप्स हो गया।
Earlier, Sonia Gandhi had called the proposal law a UPA product.
Women's Reservation Bill finally is coming. Women's Reservation Bill.
With both BJP and Congress backing women's quota, the bill is expected to be passed without much trouble. But the quota will not come into effect till delimitation happens, which means it is ruled out for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. With Polumi Saha, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, the new Parliament building was inaugurated on the 28th of May, and in less than 4 months, 19th of September was the day when the work actually began in the new Parliament building. It actually was a harmonious demonstration of the Indian democracy. It showed the diverse colors that our country has.
A new day, a special session, and a brand new Parliament building as India rises. At the onset of the second day of the special session, it was time to bid adieu to old. It was the last session at the historic Central Hall.
Today onwards, our 2 houses of the Parliament shall have their sittings in the new Parliament House building. We all know that this Central Hall has witnessed transfer of power from Britain to Bharat. I am very happy and enthusiastic about the functions of the 2 houses of the Parliament henceforth from the new building, which is the symbol of new and emerging Bharat, paving the way for the developed nation as envisaged by Prime Minister by 2047.
As we bid adieu to the Parliament House and move to the new Parliament building today, I am overwhelmed with emotions and tinge of pathos. We would, of course, be continuing our parliamentary duties in the new Parliament building, but will miss the Parliament House.
Members of the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha gathered at the inner courtyard of the old Parliament House for a group photograph. Memories of Indian democracy captured in vibrant colors.
आज हम यहाँ विकसित भारत का संकल्प दोहराना, फिर एक बार संकल्पबद्ध होना और उसको परिपूर्ण करने के लिए जी जान से जुटने के इरादे से नए भवन की तरफ प्रस्थान कर रहे हैं।
On this momentous occasion, as we stand on the threshold of adding a new chapter to the annals of our parliamentary democracy, I congratulate you all on our phenomenal rise. We all are indeed privileged to be witnessing this history in the making as we bid adieu to this magnificent parliament building which houses both the chambers of our parliament and this imposing central hall and move to the new one.
खूबसूरत तस्वीर है जिसका हम सभी बेसब्री से इंतजार कर रहे थे, अब वो पल आ चुका है.
And they marched on to the new horizon, united, in harmony, each holding a brand new Indian constitution in hand. Together, the parliamentarians of India, that is Bharat, elected representatives of 1 billion countrymen, started the day in the new parliament.
माननीय सदस्यगण, आज हमारे देश के लोकतांत्रिक इतिहास का एक अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण दिन है, जब हम संसद के नए भवन में लोकसभा की पहली बैठक आरंभ कर रहे हैं. माननीय अर्जुन मेघवाल जी.
धन्यवाद अध्यक्ष महोदय.
The first work on table was the historic introduction of the 128th Constitution Amendment Bill in the Lok Sabha to provide for 1/3 reservation to women of India in the Lok Sabha and state assemblies. With that, Indian democracy scored its first in the new Parliament House.
बिल को अपलोड कर दिया गया है. नई टेक्नोलॉजी है संसद की और नई टेक्नोलॉजी में आप इसमें देख लें, बिल अपलोड कर दिया है.
Now, after giving the cold shoulder to Justin Trudeau at the G20 summit, which was held in the national capital, the Indian government has now expelled a senior Canadian diplomat. Now, this came after Justin Trudeau accused India of murdering Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh, and also Niger's killing is something that Canada is now pinning on our country. They also expelled a senior Indian diplomat. India has called that these charges are absurd and extremely motivated.
The gloves are off. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Monday announced in Parliament Indian agents could be behind the killing of Canadian citizen Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Khalistani terrorist wanted in India.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
We've been clear.
Canada has expelled an Indian diplomat over what it calls the involvement of a foreign government in its internal affairs. Within hours of Canada's provocation, New Delhi retaliated by expelling a senior Canadian diplomat.
External Affairs Minister. Sir, you meet the... You got... External Affairs Minister.
India has called Canada's accusations absurd and politically motivated to shift the focus from Khalistani terrorists and extremists who are being allowed a free run there.
Phrase which came to my mind was actually a Hindi phrase, which was "Ulta chor kotwal ko dante." I mean, if anybody has a complaint, we have a complaint about Canada. You know what I said earlier, the space that they're giving to Khalistanis and to violent extremists. So I was very perplexed by what I heard.
Nijjar, whom India had declared a wanted terrorist, was gunned down on June 18th in Surrey. The NIA had issued an arrest warrant for Nijjar, accusing him of carrying out terrorist attacks in India. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had taken up the issue of Khalistani extremists getting a voice in Canada in his bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Trudeau in Delhi on the sidelines of G20. Trudeau claims he'd discussed Nijjar's killing with the Indian Prime Minister. Canada had recently suspended negotiations for a free trade agreement with India. With the latest accusations, the already sour diplomatic relations between the two countries have hit a new low. Bureau Report, India Today.
A news that's just coming in. Canada and India showdown has now escalated. Canada has provoked and also issued travel advisory. Canada has asked the citizens to exercise high caution while travelling to India. Canada has also issued travel advisory for all those who are coming to India. Latest strain in India-Canada ties. Now the showdown is escalating by the minute. Canada has provoked by issuing a travel advisory. All those who are travelling to India have been asked to exercise high caution by the Canadian government. Canada has issued travel advisory for all those who are travelling to India. Now, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who was wanted by the Indian government, was shot dead in a parking lot in a Gurudwara in Canada's Surrey. Now, this incident was done by two masked men. We bring you a detailed report of who exactly was Nijjar and how was he killed.
Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Originally from a village in Punjab's Jalandhar district, the 45-year-old, wanted by India in several terror cases, shot dead in the parking lot of a Gurudwara in Canada's Surrey. Gunned down by what investigators initially said were two masked men who fled the scene. A third suspected assailant added to the list later. The three believed to have used a silver 2008 Toyota Camry as their getaway vehicle. In 2022, the National Investigation Agency declared a 10 lakh rupees reward for information leading to Nijjar on charges of conspiring to murder a priest in Jalandhar. The NIA previously filed a charge sheet against him for terrorist acts against India in other cases. Nijjar, named as a member of the Khalistan Tiger Force, a designated terrorist group. In 2016, he was linked to a 2007 bombing at a Punjab cinema that killed 6. Nijjar claimed to have moved to Canada in 1997, working as a plumber at a local Gurudwara. India has categorically rejected Canadian allegations of involvement in Nijjar's murder as absurd and politically motivated, saying that Canada had long provided shelter to Khalistani terrorists and extremists. Experts, however, believe non-state actors like Nijjar, crafted by Pakistan's rogue ISI, have been caught in their own web.
It is the policy of Pakistan's ISI to eliminate, to send terrorists to different countries. They eliminate their own people, and these people who have been killed either in Pakistan or Canada, they had become liability for Pakistan, whether it's Hafiz Saeed or Sayyid Salahuddin.
From Canada to Pakistan, the violent deaths of Khalistani elements could very well be the handiwork of the ISI that once nurtured them.
If there is any person who is working for any agency, if he is unable to deliver, then he has to be sold out or killed. That is what Pakistan ISI is doing, because Pakistan had been spending a lot of money on terrorists and terrorist activities in India and elsewhere, but lately Pakistan is in a big problem, economic problem. Pakistan cannot afford them, so it is Pakistan who is killing them, or Pakistan ISI who is killing them, or in some cases there is inter-gang rivalry.
A house of terror built by Pakistan crumbled under its own weight. With Arvind Oja, Bureau Report, India Today.
At least 12 men accused of serious crime and terrorism in India are operating safely from Canada. India's most wanted list from Canada includes terrorists like Rajdeep Singh, who is accused of murdering a local Congress leader in Punjab's Moga region. Gangster Goldie Brar is accused of orchestrating the murder of famous singer Sidhu Moosewala. India's most wanted have now found a safe sanctuary in Trudeau's den. Watch this detailed story.
India's most wanted list for Canada. Arshdeep Singh, alias Arsh Dalla. accused of masterminding the murder of a local Congress leader in Punjab's Moga on Monday. A listed terrorist belonging to the outlawed Khalistan Tiger Force carrying out his operations from Canada. Originally from Tarn Taran in Punjab, Lakhbir Singh linked to the ISI in Punjab. Named in last year's rocket attack on Mohali's intelligence building. Gangster Goldie Brar, alias Satwinder Singh, accused of orchestrating the murder of singer Sidhu Moosewala from his den in Canada. At least 12 men wanted in connection with serious crimes in India, terrorism included, have found a safe sanctuary in Canada. Many of them carrying out their nefarious activities in India remotely and with impunity. With Arvind Ojha, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, Canadian Punjabi singer Shub is facing opposition ahead of his Mumbai concert over alleged support for Khalistani elements. 26-year-old had allegedly posted India's distorted map. Now, Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha tore down all the posters and they are also alleging his support for a separate Khalistani elements. Watch this detailed story.
Facing the music, the youth wing of the BJP tore down posters of a Canadian Punjabi rapper, Shubneet Singh, ahead of his upcoming concert in Mumbai. A 26-year-old singer accused of supporting Khalistani elements. His Mumbai performance, scheduled for September 23rd to 25th, is in hot water. His social media activity apparently espousing separatism came back to haunt him. The singer had earlier shared a distorted map of India.
भारत की एकता और अखंडता के शत्रु खालिस्तानी समर्थकों का भारत में कोई स्थान नहीं। देश को तोड़ने की साजिश करने वाले कैनेडियन सिंगर शुभ को हम भारत में महाराष्ट्र के छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज की इस पावन धरती पर मुंबई में हम उसे परफॉर्म करने नहीं देंगे। अगर उचित कार्रवाई नहीं होगी तो आयोजकों को हमारे विरोध का सामना करना होगा।
The BJYM has written to the Mumbai police seeking action against Shubneet Singh, known by his stage name Shub. They also called for cancellation of his shows and registration of an FIR against the rapper. Cricket stars Virat Kohli, KL Rahul and Hardik Pandya, who once followed Shub for his rap on social media, have now unfollowed him. The Canadian Punjabi rapper's planned 3-month tour across 12 major Indian cities is in jeopardy. Bureau Report, India Today.
It's time now for us to take a very quick break. More news coming up on the other side.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest. Be Sustainable Change, a BNP Group company.
आर्टिकल 370 हटाने से लेकर वो विषय ऐसा रहा जो शायद ही कोई दशक ऐसा होगा कि चर्चा न हुई हो, चिंता न हुई हो और मांग न हुई हो। आक्रोश भी व्यक्त हुआ, सभागृह में भी हुआ, सभागृह के बाहर भी हुआ। लेकिन हम सबका सौभाग्य है कि हमें सदन में आर्टिकल 370 से मुक्ति पाने का, अलगाववाद, आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई लड़ने का एक बड़ा महत्वपूर्ण कदम और इस महत्वपूर्ण काम में माननीय सांसदों की, संसद की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका है।
अभी तक लोकसभा और राज्यसभा ने मिलकर करीब करीब 4000 से अधिक कानून पास किए हैं। और कभी जरूरत पड़ी तो ज्वाइंट सेशन के माध्यम से भी कानून पारित करने की दिशा में रणनीति बनानी पड़ी और उसके तहत भी दहेज रोकथाम कानून हो, बैंकिंग सर्विस कमीशन बिल हो, आतंक से लड़ने के लिए कानून हो, ये संयुक्त सत्र में पास किए गए हैं, इसी गृह में पास किए गए।
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
Now, the Ambani family celebrated Ganesh Chaturthi in their house in Antilia. The star-studded event saw many Bollywood biggies in attendance, with, of course, Ganpati Bappa. Let's take a look at all the top developments coming in. Neeta Ambani greeted the media as Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations began at her house in Antilia. She looked graceful in a vibrant orange silk sari adorned with heavy yet very intricate detailing. King Khan, along with his daughter Suhana, son Abram and wife Gauri Khan celebrated Ganesh Chaturthi at the Ambani residence. Bollywood superstar Salman Khan was also present at Mukesh Ambani's Ganpati celebration at their residence. In attendance were also B-Town Park couple Ranveer Singh and Deepika Padukone, seen at the Ambani residence for Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations. Filmmaker and Bollywood star Karan Johar also attended Ambani's Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations. He came all dressed up for the Ganpati celebration. That's all the time we have on this bulletin for you. Thank you so much for watching India Today. This is me, Aishwarya Paliwal, signing off.
You are watching India Today, powered by Finest, Be Sustainable Change, a B&P Group company.
महिला आरक्षण 1989 में जब राजीव जी प्रधानमंत्री थे तब स्थानीय निकायों के चुनाव में उन्होंने 1/3 आरक्षण महिलाओं के लिए सुनिश्चित किया था। तत्पश्चात कांग्रेस की सरकारों ने लगातार प्रयास किया कि महिला आरक्षण का बिल पास हो, कानून बने। लोकसभा एवं विधानसभाओं के लिए भी 1/3 आरक्षण के लिए डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह की सरकार के वक्त जो ये बिल आया वो आज तक जीवित है, आज तक जीवित है। माननीय अधीर रंजन जी ने जो कहा वो फैक्चुअली इनकरेक्ट है कि पुराना बिल अभी भी जीवित है। मेरी स्पष्ट जानकारी है कि पुराना बिल लैप्स कर गया है। अधीर रंजन जी ने जो कहा है उसके समर्थन में उनके पास कोई डॉक्यूमेंट है तो टेबल पर रखने चाहिए। एक, या तो उन्होंने स्टेटमेंट विड्रॉ करना चाहिए। दूसरा, उन्होंने कहा कि इस बिल को लोकसभा ने भी कभी पारित किया था राजीव गांधी जी के समय में, कभी नहीं हुआ है। माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, लोकसभा में जो बिल पारित होता है, अगर राज्यसभा उसको पारित नहीं करती है और लोकसभा का कार्यकाल समाप्त होता है तो वो बिल अपने आप लैप्स हो जाता है। मैं मानता हूं कि इस चीज को स्पष्टता करनी चाहिए और माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, अगर उनके पास अलग जानकारी है तो सदन के टेबल पर रखनी चाहिए।
welcome. You're watching In the Club. I'm Dipali Patel, and while I'm here to bring you the latest from the world of showbiz, let me first take this moment to wish you all a very happy Ganesh Chaturthi. May Bappa shower you all with his choicest blessings. On this auspicious occasion, I would like to begin the show with how our celebrities are in the festive mode. From Allu Arjun to Ram Charan, Kartik Aaryan to Shilpa Shetty, our stars, like every year, kick-started Ganesh Utsav on a high note. Take a look. From dhol beats to joy and excitement in hearts. Celebrities welcome Lord Ganesha at their home. Shilpa Shetty, who celebrated the festival Ganesh Chaturthi every year with much enthusiasm, was among the first celebrity to bring Bappa to her residence along with her husband Raj Kundra. Ritesh Deshmukh and Janelia also invited Lord Ganesha to their home, and this time their sons joined Daddy Ritesh. Sunidhi Chauhan too brought Bappa home. While Anushka Sharma shared a quirky selfie from her gym as she made space for Ganpati's welcome. Now, while celebrities in Mumbai have brought Bappa home, the ones in Hyderabad celebrated the festival of Ganesh Chaturthi a day prior. That's right. From Allu Arjun to Ram Charan, these A-listers celebrated the festival with joy and gusto. The icon star Allu Arjun and his family worshipped Bappa, and their puja setup looked divine. But what melted netizens' heart was this video of his daughter offering prayers. Meanwhile, at the Conidella household, the occasion was extra special as it was Ram Charan and Upasana's daughter, Klinkara's first ever Ganesh Chaturthi, and these pictures from their celebration melted fans' hearts. Mahesh Babu too shared a picture from his celebration. Nani also celebrated Vinayak Chaturthi with his family and extended his wishes on social media. Now, as Ganpati has brought a full festive mood, this 10-day Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations will continue till the Visarjan of Bappa. Entertainment Bureau, India Today. Countdown for Ranbir Kapoor's next teaser from Sandeep Reddy Vanga's film Animal has begun. It will be revealed on the actor's birthday, which is on 28th September. To announce the date, the makers unveiled a new poster, and it had Alia Bhatt gushing over her husband and his new look, which is a never-seen-before avatar. Check it out. This new poster featuring Ranbir Kapoor was released, and it had Alia Bhatt gushing over her husband and his never-seen-before avatar. In this new poster, Ranbir Kapoor can be seen in a blue suit with his sunglasses on. This cinematic masterpiece also boasts of a stellar cast including Anil Kapoor, Rashmika Mandana, Bobby Deol and Tripti Dimri, ensuring a visual treat for all movie enthusiasts. Earlier, the film was supposed to hit cinemas in September, but to avoid box office clash with Jawan, Gadar 2 and Oh My God 2, the makers decided to postpone its release. Animal is now all set to roll out in theatres on December 1st, and since there's still time for it, looks like Ranbir Kapoor on personal front made the most of it by taking a few days off from his work schedule to spend some quality time with wife and actress Alia Bhatt. That's right, their pictures from the New York vacation surfaced online, and among viral posts was this one wherein Alia had quite literally turned on the D&D mode. During their visit, they even spent some time with Karisma Kapoor and also posed with fans on the streets of New York City. The duo is back in the Bay. While Ranbir returned to work, Alia was seen attending her best friend's birthday bash with sister Shaheen. Ranbir was last seen in Tu Jhooti Main Makkar, and now fans cannot wait to see him back on the screen with his new film Animal. Entertainment Bureau, India Today. Now we are inching close to the next big fat wedding with Parineeti Chopra and Raghav Chadha tying the knot soon. India Today has exclusively learned that the couple is set to exchange their vows on 24th September in Udaipur. Preparations are in full swing in Mumbai as well as Delhi. Here's our detailed report. Celebrity weddings are known for their grandeur and royal touch, as they prefer getting married in palaces. And if it involves Punjabis, you know the couple is going to be all out cliché, but who cares? That's the mantra our soon-to-be bride and groom Parineeti Chopra and Raghav Chadha seem to be following. Gear up for yet another big fat wedding. Yes, the couple is going to tie the knot on September 24th, and the wedding festivities will begin a day before their big day, and their wedding invite has already gone viral, and it's simple yet elegant.
You have to say yes to all, and then we'll see if this roka still stands tomorrow.
Yes.
I, Raghav Chadha, agree to the following. Number 1, accept that Parineeti is always right. Correct. Always. Hey, go.
Now, India Today has exclusively learned that while most of the pre-ceremonies will be held at the Leela Palace, the rituals from Raghav's side, including the Bharat procession, will move from the Taj Lake Palace to the Leela for the Pheras in Udaipur. On September 23rd, the ceremonies will include Parineeti's Chura ceremony at 10 a.m, followed by welcome lunch from 12 to 4 p.m. The families as well as the bride and groom-to-be will party the night away from 7 p.m, and the theme is Let's Party Like It's 90s. And on the wedding day, the couple will go through a series of rituals before being announced as husband and wife. Raghav's Sehra Bandi will begin at 1 p.m. at Taj Lake Palace, and the theme for the same is Threads of Blessings. The royal procession will move towards the wedding venue at 2 p.m. from Taj Lake to the Leela Palace. After the Bharat reaches the venue, the wedding rituals will kick-start with Jayamala, then Pheras, and will end with Pari's Bidai at 6:30 p.m. Post the Bidai, the reception gala will be hosted with the theme of A Night of Amour from 8:30 p.m. onwards at the Leela Palace courtyard. The couple will also be hosting one party for friends on September 30th in Chandigarh. Now, Pariniti and Raghav first grabbed headlines after their first outing together in Mumbai earlier this year. Thereafter, the duo has been clicked together on multiple occasions, even attending an IPL match together. Until they actually made their relationship official by posting the images from their engagement ceremony in May. The couple looked head over heels in love with each other in those pictures. Ever since the couple was spotted visiting Rajasthan to finalize their wedding venues, Pariniti meeting Raghav's colleagues and even seeking blessings at the Mahakaleshwar temple in Ujjain. Raghav and Pari have been surely painting the town red with their love. Recently, during one of his interviews, Raghav Chadda shared his feelings for Pariniti. He said, and we quote, "Hum jaise bhi mile, it was very magical and a very organic way of meeting. It is something that I thank God every day for giving me Pariniti in my life. बहुत बड़ी blessing है, and I'm extremely happy that I have her as my partner. As I said, I thank God every single day for giving her to me." Meanwhile, on work front, Pariniti will next be seen in Akshay Kumar's Mission Raniganj.
तो वो हमारे इंतजार में है।
Both the actors were also spotted promoting the film in the city before Pariniti's wedding. She also has Imtiaz Ali's Chamkila in the pipeline with Diljit Dosanjh. Raghav, on the other hand, is a politician who works with Aam Aadmi Party. Entertainment Bureau, India Today. We are heading into a quick commercial break, but on the other side, I'll bring you more news and updates from the world of showbiz. Stay tuned to India Today and India Club.
Leader of the opposition. Please.
ये पिछड़ी हुए महिलाओं को, शेड्यूल कास्ट महिलाओं को ऐसा मौका नहीं मिलता जैसा इनको मिल रहा है। ये हम बोल रहे हैं। तो इसीलिए
once again, let us respond, please. Honorable Finance Minister.
द्रौपदी मुर्मू जी कौन है? I'm sorry, opposition leader cannot please insult people like this. Cannot draw differentiation between women. महिला के